push it in now.
There we go.
So,
Hello,
how
everyone.
you
Hello.
doing? This
Here
is
we
the
go.
Bottom Line Show, man, with LaMarr and my man Darrin. We're just coming to everybody. I'm in Texas. He's up in Ohio right now, coming from two different parts of the world. Technology allowed us to have this show today, man.
Yes, and I'm sure that we are experiencing similar weather. Right now, it's about 20 degrees. We got snow outside. It's beautiful here. It's beautiful.
Right, right.
And I'm sure you got that in Dallas, don't you?
Oh yeah, definitely, man. I know it's been a little chilly, man. You know, it's so funny. They say it don't take too long to get adjusted to the weather, and I kind of slight weight got adjusted to the weather, man. Because like if it gets below 60, man, it's cold to me. Like I don't know, my skin thinned out or
You got
something, man.
lightweight fast. You ain't been in Texas that long.
Man, 3 years now, man. It's like my skin is changing, man.
Oh,
I
your
don't know what's
skin,
going.
you got thin blood now, man.
Yeah, man, it's something's going on because when I first got here, I walk out with a t-shirt, some jeans, and it's cold, and they're looking at me crazy. Now I'm bundled up with a hat. Oh, I have a wool hat on. I'm ready to go.
A wool hat?
And it's a joke, man.
Goodness.
I'm not like I have like a winter hat or some sort. So
So we got an exciting show today. We have
we do.
some entrepreneurs that I'm excited to talk to. We have one who is 13 years old. Is that right? She's 13 years old. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to talking to her.
Yes.
So we have three different folks to talk to
Yeah.
this morning about that and to promote their businesses. We got lots going on. And like we said last week, when we thought that 2021 was going to be sort of more relaxing and less stressful.
Yeah.
Here we are. Here we are. We're kind of sitting on pins and needles, wondering what's going to happen here this next week. We
Yeah.
have an inauguration coming up. We
Yeah.
don't know what's going to be happening this weekend. We don't know what might be happening. There might be some things happening at state capitals. We hope not. Knock on wood. Cross our fingers. Pray
Right.
that we don't have incidents
Yeah.
like we have had, like we saw previously. So yeah, kind of holding our breath here.
I'm not holding my breath, man. God's in control, dude. I'm not even really stressed on it. I'm really not. I
No?
look at live life, and long as you look, if you're looking at it where you're not looking to harm anyone else,
Mhm, mhm.
if you're looking at trying to change things out of your own power, it never works out right. I mean, we see that. So I feel like relying on God for everything. That's just the way I look at it. That's how
Mhm.
He's led my life, and so I'm cool. I'm
Good,
like I
good
do.
word, good word.
And you remember this though. You remember we talked about this a while back. You said, you can see things getting better. I said, I don't see the world getting better. I said, it's really, do we want to make things better? And that's how it goes. That's each individual is accountable for their own actions. So I'll leave it like that. So I'm waiting to get back. I haven't heard back from Dr. Krystal. I'll send her the link. So I'm waiting to hear back from her to see if she's going to connect. But what I'm going to do is, Bria, you can go ahead and roll the first video, which is Dave Bever. And I don't think Dave remembers me, but we're going to talk a little bit about this. I remember one event that he had, and he knows a lot of the guys I used to roll with back then. So I'm going to see if he remembers me or not. But we'll see how I go. But go ahead. But this is something new I didn't know about Dave until this past year. So go ahead and roll that video, Bria. Is there audio with this one? I don't think there's audio on that. But Dave is in the black gi there.
So if this is judo, this is judo.
I know he works in mixed martial arts, but he's going to explain a little bit about that. Let's go
Okay.
ahead and bring Dave up a little bit now. Hey, how you doing, man?
What's up?
Good
Good
morning,
morning.
Dave. Good morning. Thanks for
so,
joining us on the show.
so
Yeah,
I've been
joining you
watching.
from warm and steamy Columbus, Ohio.
Okay,
Awesome.
okay.
Yes.
Is
It's
that where
cold.
you're? So that's where you're at now, Columbus?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, you were in Cleveland though, right?
Oh, yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, I was like, this is the same Dave Beaver now. Okay,
Yes, sir. Yes,
So
so
sir.
tell us a
so
little bit about what we just saw there.
Yeah. So that was a jiu-jitsu tournament.
Jiu-jitsu. Okay.
I compete in Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Been fortunate to compete all over the country. Just came back last month from competing at what's called Master Worlds. So I was one of
Wow.
20 men globally. in my division and for my age and weight bracket. So it's really cool. So yeah, that was in Chicago, that particular event for Grappling Industries, and ended up winning 2 gold medals that day. So that was
Ooh.
my white belt days, and so yeah, end up double gold in that day. So
Oh, awesome, man.
Awesome.
Yeah. I took Shido Roof for about 4 years
yeah,
in North Carolina. My whole family. I don't know if you heard of the Dillingham family, but they're really big going up through the 70s, 80s, and 90s. They had
nice.
like 5 schools down there, and I competed same way,
Yeah,
across the country and everything, and it was awesome, man. Then I had back injuries, and that
yes,
kind of messed
Yeah.
me up a little bit. But
So let me ask
go
you,
ahead.
Dave. So I know that LaMarr knows you, but for those of us out there um, who don't, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about what you do and your business.
yeah, man. So I'm 42 years old. Been married for 25 years. I got a son who's getting ready to head off to play college football next fall.
Awesome.
He's this
Wow.
year finishing up his senior wrestling. My daughter, she's 16. She just got her first job ever. She's a phenomenal volleyball player. She got a job at Canes here locally, so I like to mess with her. And every time I see her now, I say finger licking chicken. What combo you picking? And she's like, stop that. You know? So because they do those little goofy things. And then I got
Yeah.
a 9-year-old. He's our youngest. He's been training in jiu-jitsu now for about a year and a half,
Okay.
and also has started competing here. It's done really well. Yeah, man, I've been a pastor for 25 years,
Wow.
and I've been an officer here local for 2 years in a private department, which I really enjoy.
Okay.
It's in a medical. It's in one of the largest medical facilities in the city.
Okay.
Um, and I just got promoted December 20th to lieutenant. So
Congratulations.
been
Yeah, I
good,
saw
man.
I saw
I
the
love
video.
I love helping people and serving people in various capacities. But I also I train 4 to 6 days a week in
Wow.
jiu-jitsu. I've done MMA over the years, so I think it's I don't train for violent purposes. Obviously, I train because it's holistically healthy. I love training. I love jujitsu. Jujitsu has kind of become my personal sanctuary. It's where the whole
Hmm.
world stops for me.
Right.
And no matter if I'm having a good day, bad day, jujitsu just been that thing that makes everything go away.
Right.
Um, so
And
I've
so
been
how
doing.
long have you done it?
So I've been training jujitsu traditionally now or consistently for about 4 years.
Okay.
Uh, and
And are you a black belt or
No, man, I'm a blue belt. So to get your
okay, you're
black
getting
belt in
close.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and black belt, man, will take you probably anywhere from 10, 12, maybe up to 15 years. So it's
Wow.
the long haul. Very, very. There's not a lot of people that make it to black belt, not because they usually end up quitting, man, or life gets in the way. I can tell
Yeah.
you, my professor, Dave Freitag, he has given out 4 black belts in 25 years. So,
Oh, wow.
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
you know,
That's good.
but it
So
doesn't
it's
mean
pretty
that
rare.
there's more. There's definitely more to come. There's some guys getting really close, but
Mhm.
um, it's yeah, it's good, man. But if they
Yeah.
took the belts and the belts and stripes away,
Yeah.
I would still train. I train
Right.
jujitsu because I love it. It's it's kind of it's tactical, it's strategic, um, but it's also your whole body, your total existence involved in that
Right.
moment, and
Right.
I love that about it.
One of the things you mentioned about the holistic part of it. So, what inspired you? Because I heard that part of that, but what inspired you to go into a career of health and fitness? What inspired you for that?
Yeah, so here's what's crazy, man. I um I remember just being younger, like always being just on the go, being athletic, playing sports and stuff. And then somewhere right around 34, man, at 34 years old, dude, I was gaining weight like crazy. And I remember because I was out on this doing this street outreach thing in inner city Cleveland, Ohio, right? And video cameras rolling around, everyone's doing their thing, people are rapping, like we're doing our thing. And then like a few days later, we were all sitting down. So like we plugged in the camera, right? And like we were watching video stuff back and getting ready to do some video editing. And I saw this like video of me. And no lie, man, this is real deal. I was like, yo, who's that guy? right? And they were like, haha, joking. I'm like, no, for real, man, y'all ain't my friends. Like, you're not good friends at all. I'm like, why did y'all tell me I was like fat, right? And I'm not saying that like to be mean,
Right.
but like, I didn't feel bad. I still felt like the 18-year-old kid that was running and gunning. I felt like just right. And then I was like, yo, dude, I'm like 225, headed for 230 pounds. And again, this is not to be critical of anybody who might struggle with their weight. I'm not picking fun or poking fun.
Mm-hmm.
Mine was just, I just kind of was running and gunning at life, the high stress and pressure of pastoral ministry, whatever, and eating, trashy foods. And so really, man, at 34, the kind of light bulb, I was like, and I just got after it, and
Hmm.
I have a side-by-side picture. One is me almost 230, and 7.5 months later, I'm 185 pounds,
Awesome.
lean, getting ready to fight, and it was just, it wasn't for vanity's sake. I know a lot of people want to be in shape for maybe I want to look good, I want to have abs. Well, dude, at 42, abs are overrated. The dad bod's it's a good vibe, man. So it's and abs are hard to keep. You can't walk around at 10% body fat all the time.
Hmm.
I like chicken wings, man. I like ice cream and donuts. So, but it's all in moderation. It's finding the sweet balance, and so long story short, it was my own journey. But then I become very passionate again. I love to serve and help people.
Right.
And
Right.
and I know a lot of times people's self-esteem
Hmm.
and even connected to their own just holistic health, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. And so man, I continued to uh, get some additional education on health
Yeah.
and wellness, kind of on sports science and nutrition,
Yeah.
Okay.
and just started serving people in any way I can,
Right.
so
Right.
help people be motivated. So yeah.
That's awesome though, because the other doctor I wanted to have on here talks a lot about health and wellness and from a holistic standpoint and the nutrition side. And I thought it would be a good combination because you're really deep on the physical side,
Yeah.
and we just think, oh yes, okay. She says she's gonna connect. Yeah, like I'm like right now because
Perfect.
I need her like right now.
Yeah,
But
man.
yeah, but anyway, this she's a chiropractor,
Yeah.
and what I didn't know is that through the whole process of lining that spine up, and that's why I want her to explain it better, so I won't
Yeah.
say it. But
Yeah.
especially for athletes, because
100%.
I was a very active person, and then when those things got aligned, you don't realize the damage that
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
doing. And
Yeah.
then when you get into martial arts, when I was in martial arts, like I said, that's when I damaged my back, and I was like,
Yeah.
if
Hmm.
I had knew what I knew now,
100%.
then it would be, oh man, it would be incredible.
One of my biggest sponsors, my key sponsors, is called Buckeye PMR, Buckeye Physical Medicine and Rehab. They're right
Yeah.
here in
Okay.
Columbus, Ohio,
Okay.
and it's a chiropractic firm. They also help people with hormone replacement therapy. But
Okay.
I go there twice a week, because
Wow.
jujitsu, you're tying your body in a knot like a pretzel, and things do get out of alignment. Your spine, your neck, and
Yeah.
they've helped me through shoulder injuries, a thumb injury, ankles and knees. So it is critical to what you're saying there,
Right.
LaMarr. Uh,
So
uh,
let me ask you, Dave. So people, this is the new year. Many people probably have a New Year's resolution out there to try and get in shape. If they are somebody like that, um, what is, maybe they're middle age or 30, 40,
yeah,
50 years old, and they're not used to doing things like this. What are some of the suggestions that you have, you know, for somebody in their head, like to get in their head and to
yeah.
say and to get them motivated to do something for themselves?
Well, I try to tell people, hey, listen, you didn't get to where you're at overnight, so don't think you're going to get to where you want to go overnight.
Okay.
Um, I think sometimes, man, people get really amped up and they have a sprinter's mentality. They're going to
Mm,
hit the gym hard and fast, and
yeah.
I think they dive in too headlong, too quick. So it's like, yo, let's start slow. So if you go to the gym and you smash for that first week and you can barely walk and you're beat up and wore out, it's hard to get up and go that next week. And I tell
Yeah.
people, we need to make these adjustments. So instead of going 6 days a week off the rip, hey man, go 2, and
Okay.
and then go 3,
Right.
and build yourself up. Hey man, don't cut yourself off. All of a sudden you went from eating 4,500 calories a day. Don't wake up one day, punch in my fitness pal, I want to weigh 170, and start eating 1,200 calories a
Right.
day for the next, because you're going to be miserable. And here's what I know about humanity. The stick to it, the willpower ain't that great.
Right.
Start small, build those blocks, build upon them. And, if it took you 30 years to get out of shape, it might take you a year to get in the full shape you want. It might take a year and a half, but slow and steady, consistency is the key to
Okay.
the success. And, as I've trained people in the past, like I work with them on their nutrition. It's not just about what you do in the gym. I personally believe it's really a 70-30. 70% of what you do is outside that gym. 30% in the
Okay.
gym. You're not eating right, your macronutrients aren't right, you're not fueling your body properly, you'll struggle,
Okay.
So I try to get people just to ease into it and let's build upon it. Before you
Right.
know it, you're rocking and rolling, So
That's good. Yeah, we got
Yeah,
Dr.
thank you for
Krystal.
that.
We got Dr. Krystal in here, and I want to say that like you were saying about the consistency. That's one of the things that she showed us. And, actually, she talks about all the time. You have to be consistent. I want to bring a video up about some of her patients that she's worked with, and I'm going to bring you down for a second, Dave, and bring you back up. Here's a video.
All right, so this is Heather at the Maximize Living Center in Frisco, Texas. Heather's been working with me since January, and she has a testimony. Heather, what happened the second week that you were here? What did you tell me about your health and your diagnosis?
I had gotten diagnosed with breast cancer, but I never went back to the doctor to find out what stage it was in. I just kind of let it go.
Okay, and so since then, what have you been doing to help your cancer heal?
An extremely rigorous protocol that was not easy and was extremely taxing, but it was worth it.
Okay.
And it included several cleanses and a very strict diet and exercise regimen that literally went up from 6 in the morning to 11 at night, and then of course spinal corrections 5 times a week.
And so today you went into the oncologist, and so what did your oncologist say?
He told me that I had stage 3 breast cancer, and it was 7.5 centimeters in diameter, and that it was gone, and I am healed.
Woo! So what did you tell him?
I told him that the power that made the body heals the body, and it happens no other way.
So I know that he wanted you to go and take chemotherapy and radiation. Did you take any chemotherapy or radiation?
No, he wanted me to do chemo, radiation, and a double mastectomy, and I said no.
So in how many months did it heal?
Just about 3 months.
All right. The power that made the body heals the body. Happens no other way.
So we're going to bring up Dr. Krystal. How you doing, Dr. Krystal? I can't. Your mic is muted. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I heard something there. I can't hear you.
Yep. It says that you are not muted. So
Yeah, it shows you're not muted. Um,
we're gonna try to get her back here.
yeah. Click off and reconnect to the network. Click off and reconnect. And we'll bring Dave back up till we get Dr. Krystal back in here.
I'm very interested to
Oh, there
talk
she
to
go.
Krystal,
Yeah, me too.
especially about that saying, and I want her to say more about the power that heals the body. I
Yeah.
want to
Oh
hear more
man.
about that because I'm kind of interested in that. So
Well,
we'll get her back. We'll get her back.
one of the things about it that show that that works with it is that like I said, I was going with her, and I know that I have high blood pressure. I have had back issues. My spine was out of line. My neck was out of line, and I started going to her in July, and I had my X-ray results back in November. My second set of X-rays, and my spine, like I told you, my spine was messed up since I was 24 years old in martial arts, and 24. I've had 6 surgeries on my back, and I have a spinal column stimulator in my back.
Wow.
And the stimulator helps me function basically without pain. I started going to her in July. I cut the stimulator off in August. I haven't had it on since.
Mm.
My spine is completely lined back up, and my neck is cleared up to where my neck was out of line, and it's now better than it should be actually. And it was the consistency. And I want to see if I can get Dr. Krystal back up.
Yep.
Your mic on yet? Oh, Dr. Krystal, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Make sure the volume is up.
Well, we're gonna have Bria talk to you. Maybe she can get you going here.
I'll text Bria your number, and maybe I can get you on speaker. Maybe is there a number that we can dial for this? I'm not sure, but yeah, we'd like to get you on.
So, Dave, I want to ask you then. So, do you work with students individually, like with jujitsu and with training and things?
That it, Doctor? How's that, Dr. Krystal? Can I hear you?
Oh, here we go. Okay.
We can hear you now.
Sorry about the technical difficulties, everyone. Here we go.
On the actual computer.
Okay.
Yeah, so first of all, I am so excited to be here to meet you guys and to talk about healing, because that's what this world needs right now. And so you wonder, like, how does the body heal of cancer? How does LaMarr's spine reverse that? How do you do that? Well, we have to look at the system that controls all the healing in your body, and that is your central nervous system. That your master system is your central nervous system. In order to understand what I'm saying right now, for your heart to beat, for your immune system to recognize viruses and cancer, your brain has to send messages down the spinal cord, over the nerves, to the organs, to the heart, to the lungs, to the liver, to the cells. That's what your body is doing 100% of the time, every single time. And your body needs no help healing. If you cut yourself, it doesn't need any help to heal that cut. You actually trust it to heal. You actually know that it will heal. The body needs no interference, because if you put salt in that wound or you do something that allow it will heal slower. And so what happens is when our spine shifts, it blocks nerves that are going to organs, and it blocks healing. For instance, if you cut the nerve off to your heart, you die, right? So if there is a small amount of pressure on the same nerve, maybe 6%, that is controlling the heart, that is controlling the lungs, that is controlling the immune system, that's controlling your prostate, that's controlling your ability to have erections even. If there is pressure on those nerves, how can the body heal? It cannot. And you may not know that symptom would happen today, but the body will start to build disease. And when it's at dis-ease, it's not healing easily. That dis-ease will build disease, and it causes malfunction and early death. And so we come in and remove that interference. And so the power that made the body heals the body, returns power back into the body, and the body heals. And your body can heal of anything under the sun. I'm not the healer. You're the healer. You just have to make sure you're removing all the interference and replacing the body with the deficiencies from the poor nutrition that would cause more interference, and you will see great miracles in your body. But it's not a miracle. The miracle is that you were consistent enough to change to be consistent, to keep that interference out, to change your lifestyle, so you can see the promises of God. If you're a God-fearing person, or you could be an atheist, because if you cut, you're still gonna heal. Atheist is gonna heal. I know it's that power to be. Whatever you know it to be, let that be.
Right. No, that's great.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for all that. Yeah.
I did show that video. We didn't get a chance to talk about it earlier, but I thought it was so incredible, because people can get a disease in their body or some type of illness, and your mind will cause your body to deteriorate because of that emotional pressure. And so to see that, and to see her joy, I said, I got to show this video, because people won't believe this if I said it. So then I wanted to bring you on about that. But we had mentioned earlier with Dave Bever here, what inspired you to get involved in health and fitness, and also to get to the point of being a chiropractor. That's in that field of that line of work. What inspired you for that?
There's a few things that really have inspired me along the path. One of the things was that I always hated medicine, and I always thought about if there was something that was dangerous will cause more danger and harm to our body? Is that something that God really wanted for our body? It has to be another way, a better solution for our health. And I wanted to know that, you know, and I was praying, and this guy came to the school, and he was the dean of the Sherman Chiropractic School. And he was just talking about it was the wave of the future. And I was going to dental school at that time, but I started working for dentists and I didn't really like it. So I was honestly praying, and I put the chiropractic back in the back of my head, and I was praying. It's like, God, send me what you want. I just want to lay hands on people. I want to see people heal. I just want to do your work. What do you want me to do? And he called in the middle of that call. So I always say I got my calling in that call. Okay. You know, yeah. So, but on top of that, you know, my sister, 28 years old, on her way to medical school, she was picture of health, worked out, ate well, did everything great. And she was working in a lab, and she started experiencing hives and joint pain. And she went into the hospital just for fluids, because she doesn't take medication. And let me tell you, they gave her a steroid, and that steroid caused seizures. She had back-to-back seizures. Before you know it, they had put compression pads across her legs. The compression pads were tight. It caused gangrene, cut off the blood supply, caused gangrene in her calf muscles, in her toes. They had to amputate both of her legs, and they didn't do it properly. They had to do it twice. The fluid went back up into her heart, caused congestive heart failure. I went to the hospital, started adjusting her every 5 minutes, allowing that healing. I'm like, I'm just going to remove interference. I remove interference. And she was able to leave the hospital with her heart better. Ended up in the hospital a year with no legs, with the same highs and joint pains, because they never got to the cause. And you know, so as my mom was signing the discharge papers, $100,000 later, you know, the nurse comes back in and say, well, let me at least give you something for pain. And so when they gave my sister that pill caused another seizure, and my sister died that day at 29 years old. So they took her life. And, you know, it's my God-given mission to teach people that medication, you know, kills, and drugs kill, whether it's pushed or prescribed. And there's a better way for your health. And we need to make sure we're removing interferences and living our life. So then, you know, that's why I wake up every day, so that people can have their family, they can avoid needless drugs. So thank God we have it for emergency situations. But you weren't supposed to have emergency 10, 15 years. Why do you have the blood pressure? Why do you have the thyroid? Why do you have the headaches? Get to the root cause, because the cause is the cure.
Awesome.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
Awesome.
I have a question. So how would you, you might have already answered this, you know, that was a powerful story, but how would you, what would you say to people to give alternative medicines, to give alternative therapies, to give something like chiropractic a chance?
Well, first of all, you got to look at the history. Okay. Medication, you know, if you look at the history of medication, it's from Rockefeller. And if you look at the history of that, it's not a good history. We look at the history of chiropractic. The first patient was deaf for 18 years and they got their hearing back. So you look at the history.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
The first person was deaf and got their hearing back. It was about healing then. In 1895, September 1895, the first person that ever got adjusted got their hearing back. There was a whole hospital where people would come with polio. They were on radio. It's like, send me all of your people that you don't want to, medical doctors that you can't get well, send them to the chiropractic. The reason why chiropractic got a bad name today, because we were healing people that medicine could not. And so medicine hated that. And they went on the Wilkes case. If you actually look at the Wilkes case, and chiropractic, the medical doctors went in and lied and said all these different things about chiropractic. And they actually was sued by the Wilkes case, and everything they said was actually a lie. And so we sued the medical profession and won. And so, but the thing is the American public, they never knew that it was an attack on chiropractic because of the healing, the health and wellness. And so throughout that time, when chiropractors were going to jail for doing adjustments, and guess where the people went? The patients went to the jailhouse to get their adjustments, because that's how good it was.
Wow.
Yeah,
I had been going to chiropractic for over 20 years. I don't even since before I was married. I've been married for 25 years. And I've been going to chiropractic off and on wherever I've lived. I've had at least 4 or 5 chiropractors because I've lived in different places. So I didn't know all those stories. So thanks for sharing that. That was good.
Yeah, so that's just the research. You look at a movie doctor, they'll go through and how how the medical director was saying that he was telling the medical students that people are going to go say they've been going to chiropractors and they're going to be cute like puppies, but they're rabbits. They're like rabid dogs, and they're going to kill your people. And so he went on a lie detector test, and everything that he said, hey, you have any proof of this? Anything about that? You think about malpractice with chiropractic. Malpractice with medical doctors, $100,000 a year. Mine is cheaper than car insurance. So it's cheaper to give me your baby, your newborn baby, to get adjusted so that you can provide life or remove interference and see the interference coming from the body to breathe life. $1,200 a year, that's insanely safe if you're looking at numbers. Okay.
Right.
The research just shows that it's safe. It's going to be anything that is going to take away money from the medical profession, the pharmaceutical companies, it's going to be attacked because guess what? You feel if you go to the right doctor chiropractor, you're going to be feeling better from the very first adjustment. And it just every adjustment building. And you're going to get things that show up in your health, but you come in and get your adjustments and you will crawl in, but you will walk out. I had heart palpitations that were so bad I couldn't lie down at night. I was dyslexic as well. Okay. Guess what healed me? These adjustments. Okay. So I'm no longer dyslexic. I no longer have heart palpitations. And I just pray over my heart. This is life-saving. It's changed my life. And if you're not treating symptoms, you're removing interference from nerves in the body, and the body will do what it's supposed to do, which is return to health. And that's what it's designed to do.
So when I look at, I see one of these questions here, like the top 3 factors of getting your body in peak performance. I'm going to start with Dave. As we know, you're in mixed martial arts, jiu-jitsu, and as you know, also the body does heal itself. What are your 3 top factors of getting your body in peak performance? What are 3 of the top things to get that body in peak performance from your perspective?
Yeah, I don't, it's funny. The secret is not that secret. It's people want it to be more complicated than what it is. But I tell everybody, here's the bottom line. These 3 pillars, everybody wants to take a pill in America to what Dr. Krystal just spoke on. They want to have some quick, supplement, lose fat faster, all that. Because we don't want to put that hard work in, and do it right. So long story short, the 3 base pillars that I teach everybody that I live by is whole food, good, healthy whole food, water, and rest. If you're not eating properly, you're not sleeping or resting properly, and your body is majority made up of water, right? So if you're not, keeping your body hydrated, resting well, and eating healthy whole food, which we live in a generation that eats a lot of processed food, which is really, honestly, it's fast food is quick and easy, but we poison our system. But whole food, rest, and water are the 3 base pillars that we need to build our health and wellness on, in my opinion. And I'm talking about in an off-camp time, I will, live a little freer, right? I still train hard. My body stays lean because I still do take care of it. But I am going to have a little bit more pizzas and things like that. But when it's time to get it right, and I'm a very goal-oriented, task-driven person. So when someone says, "Hey, we're signing the contract and we're gonna compete on August 1st," then I backlog 9 weeks, flip the switch, and do those things to cut that weight properly versus crash dieting, if that makes sense.
And that'll kill you. What about you, Dr. Krystal? What are your top 3 factors of getting your body in peak performance?
So top three factors. Number one is to check your nervous system for interference. Okay, because guess what? I'm a doctor of the United States Olympic team. So so many times that they're working with the athletes. Guess what? They are training hard. They are doing things. Are pushing their body to the limits, and there are going to be misalignments that happen. What causes misalignment? Stressors. physical, mental, and physical stress on the body, and the body starts to react and adapt. And so, subluxation is what I'm correcting, is what happens when the body's trying to adapt. So when you move that interference out, immediately the brain sends messages back to the organs and the body heals. Now, another thing is that interference causes that. So food, nutrition, just like the doctor was just talking about, that nutrition is so important for the body, because you can't have a Ferrari and go put sugar in the gas tank and think that it's going to run at full performance. So food is going to need to do that. You have to remember that the sugars, the bad fats, the toxins, they cause the body to work harder. Your body is made of fat. It's made of water. Every cell has a layer of fat. When that cell's become congested, it becomes inflamed. You can't work. It can't fire off. It's going to cause damage, disease, inflammation. So like you said, water is important. Proper nutrition is important. Movement is important. I would add, detoxing, making sure that you are putting the right foods in. If you really want to see optimal health, I just went out kind of a raw cleanse. I did raw food for 30 days. I had a food allergy since 2015. Did all raw. Guess what? I don't have that food allergy anymore. Doing juicing to flush out the cells, to allow cellular healing, to allow that to happen. That's going to be great. And then also, exercising, making sure that you have oxygen going into the cells and lean muscle tissue. That is going to be able to be optimal for your health. And if you do that, you will be able to get that 120 years that God put in our body to live.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
awesome. That's awesome. You had another one, Darrin. What was the other questions you have for them?
I actually, listening to people talk, I had two questions. First of all, a specific question for Dr. Krystal. I wanted to know, are you finding that more health insurance companies are covering chiropractic care?
So when we talk about health insurance, okay, chiropractic is not sick care, it's health care. So
Right.
There's no healthcare system right now. So insurance only cares about sick care. So they only pay for a couple of visits to get you well. They don't pay for your gym membership. They don't pay for your supplements. They don't pay for your workouts. They don't pay for anything that's going to provide you not to be stuck in the medical model, which
Should it though?
It should, and it used to back in the day before it used to, but they saw people getting well and healthy, and that goes against the medical profession. So what people do is go into the health savings account to get the adjustments. But most times, we have things like gym membership payments and stuff, and you don't put that as an investment in your health, then you will do. So we make things affordable so patients, whole families of 5 that can get the care that they need. We discount it. We have family plans and everything like that. But it has to be something that if you care about your health, we'll make it happen. But you cannot expect the insurance company to care about your health. You cannot expect the pharmaceutical companies to care about your health. The pharmaceutical companies are running the hospitals. The pharmaceutical companies are funding all of these different things. So you have to think about, if this is going against the agenda to keep people well, to keep them off of permanent drugs, then why would they want you to be well? They're going to pay just enough to keep that symptom going on, keep you dragging on, needing your medication. It keeps coming back. If you want to really have optimal health, you have to make sure that you put that investment in, just like you go to Whole Foods and get your good foods, just like you go to the gym membership, as a chiropractor is right there with it. You have to look at the part of my regimen, like I eat clean food, I drink water, I exercise, I get adjusted, and this is what I'm doing to put longevity on my health so that I don't become a statistic.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
So
all very
how does that
interesting about your
how does that mindset change? Either one can answer it. Like when you're brought up into a system for so long, and this is what you're told that is right, especially with your health. What do you have to start? Where does that mindset change start? How can you influence people to change how they think? Like if you're working out, people who don't exercise, they say, well, I've never had, I had an issue with weight, and now I can't lose weight, but they can't get in their mind that they have to exercise or eat right. Myself, I'm not a person who really thought about what I ate. I just ate what I ate. Now I think about it. But how do you all encourage people to change that mindset, to put that work in, that discipline?
Well, I think that's part of it. I don't think people are free thinkers. I think people have been they've been pre-programmed to just believe and do and follow systems that have been laid out for us.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
So as a leader, I would say right now I'm bold and courageous. I speak up. I speak loud when the powers that be try to muzzle me. I speak even louder because I believe in, and each person needs to be a free thinker, and each person needs to be empowered. Right? That's the problem. And this, and I'm not to get into social topics. We don't want people to be empowered, because empowered people become free thinkers, and then they become dangerous to the broken systems of this nation and this world. Um, Perfect example. Doctor talked about pharmaceutical companies. You know, when a doctor graduates medical school and they move on, they're in a practice. Majority of their continuing education comes from pharmaceutical companies coming in peddling drugs because they want them to sell their narcotics or prescribe the narcotics to their patients, right? So it becomes this monopoly on its money, right? The reason we don't have any cures for cancer or AIDS or anything saying is because they're multi-billion-dollar industries, and someone's making money off your sick grandma or your sick grandchild, and that's just truth. So I always take the approach of people are people know what they've been told, and a lot of people are not intrinsically motivated to become a free thinker. I believe it is my job and responsibility, morally and ethically, as a leader in society, to empower, to disciple, to encourage, to be a truth teller, to speak truth into people and help them get their feet on a path that is not the broken norm, right? And I've had my own experience. Let me share this with you real quick, because I want to just validate and give a testimony to what Dr. Krystal does. So even though she's never treated me, I can tell you it was a chiropractor that had a huge impact in my life. Not just as an athlete. I go twice a week right now, because when I'm off, and I can tell. I mean, I'm very in tune to my body. When I put something in my body, it's not good. My body tells me right now, because I'm dialed into it mentally. But I had hit this, I can't think of the medical term of it right now, but I woke up one day, I sat up, and I felt like the room started spinning out of control. And I got super freaked out, panicky. I went for about a 3/4 of the day, couldn't make it go away. I felt like I was just spinning. I felt off balance. I was like, man, this must be like that V8 commercial, right? Like, this is weird, right? So what do? I do what every American does. I'm like, yo, I need to go to the ER. I go to the ER. The ER tells me, they used a term, and it's not an actual, it's a term, but it's not actually like a diagnosis, but a lot of people have it. But so they're like, it's this, my inner ear. So they gave me these pills, right? I don't know any better. At this moment, I don't know any better. I'm like, yo, I take it, it kind of subsides, but it knocks me out. I'm tired as can be. This goes on for about 3 days. I'm like, I'm going to feel like this the rest of my life. I couldn't drive a car. That's how bad if I turned my head too fast, I was on this merry-go-round. I went to my chiropractor that is my sponsor. And this one is Dr. Mike. Dr. Mike says, hey man, come in here, like, immediately. Matter of fact, the first time he said, come to my house. I went to his house. He has a, table in his basement, whatever. So here's what happened, man. He takes me through the series of exercises and realigns like the crystals in my ear, right? And almost instantly, I was like, yo, like, I don't feel like I'm the dizzy. Now, it took us a series of doing that over like the next couple weeks. But I remember, I remember finally one day it was just over. It was gone. When I took those pills for 3 days, they were supposed to help me. I'm like, yo, it subsides it because it numbed, I think, my nervous system or my sensory system. But then I was sleeping. I mean, I was like knocked out. I'm a 3 to 5 hour sleep kind of guy. I'm hardwired. I'm sleeping like 10, 12, 13 hours because I was these narcotics. That makes sense. So to their point, it was my chiropractor, my sponsor, who wasn't correcting me for athletic training, but like, yo, I got something going on. I don't know what it is. And by realigning those crystals in my neck and doing these weird things, setting me up in a certain way real quick, but it adjusted it, and it was powerful, But again, I was blessed enough to have this practice and have some insight to these people. If I did not have them in my life, I would have, who knows where I'd have been. I'd have been going down the path of modern medicine that wasn't really helping me. That makes sense.
Okay.
So I love everything Dr. Krystal said, man. That's right on. See Dr. Krystal.
What is what's your comment to that, Dr. Krystal?
It is absolutely right. I've seen so many patients coming in dizzy, vertigo, all those different things. They
That's
just
the word.
don't know. They go to the medical. What'd you say, vertigo? That's what it was?
Vertigo. That's the word. I couldn't remember it.
Yeah,
That's the
that's
word.
what I knew that's what he was having. Just had a patient
Yeah.
who just finished that. And so, yeah, drugs that you can take that, you can numb and numb the area, but guess what? This just numbing is going to cause more damage. It's like taking duct tape over your check engine light and keep driving the car. Everything's still shutting down. You're going to be up on the side of the road. So you got to get to the root cause, and that's pressure at the brainstem. That's that misalignment. And every second, every time that he got an adjustment, it was removing interference out. It was moving healing back in. His body started building health again, building health. And so then it healed. And so that is so great. And that's why it has to be something that you don't do when you just have a symptom. You need to be doing it regular, like Dave is doing, so that, your body can stay at its peak. Things can definitely happen. But this is what we need to do in order to have lasting health the way that we're designed. And then everything else that he's doing, it's going to be impossible for him to have disease in his body because he's doing so much. Even when he does eat his pizza, you're going to get an adjustment that's pushing out the toxicity from that. So yeah, you can still eat your 80-20% and still have a good life. So you don't have to be perfect. Adjustments help you not to be perfect, man. Don't go overhaul, but yeah. And then so you do your cleanses every once in a while to make sure that everything's moving good because of the years you maybe didn't get adjusted, and you're going to really find health, and that's what we do. And then so you talked about like why, LaMarr, why do people not know? How do you wake that person up? Well, you need to wake them up with the statistics that 5 out of people will die of a heart attack, cancer, or stroke. Look around your family for Christmas. One of them had the heart attack, one of the blood pressure. Okay? 1 out of 1,000 people will make it to 60 in good health. 1 in 10,000 people, married couples, will make it to 60 in good health. Okay, so we have the sickest country.
Wow.
More babies die here than any other country. So we have to be doing something different. Okay, the number one cause of death in America, we got to look at that. You might think it's heart disease, you might think it's cancer. It's actually iatrogenic deaths reported by Death by Medicine, that over 780,000 people die from medical mistakes and errors. Okay, from going to the doctor's office, okay, and take that drug, and guess what? They did not make. So what are you doing to not end up in an emergency situation? Okay. Yeah. And you just think about how frustrated we are. We're spending all this money on healthcare. We're doing all of this pink, yellow, and blue, pink shirts for this, and, marching for this. And we really realize what's happening is that people are getting sicker. What are we getting? More heart disease, more cancer, more strokes, more viruses that shut down the whole world, because you should be, boosting the immune system. When you look at the virus right now, 80% of them were deficient, who had severe cases deficient from vitamin D3. So why isn't there a mandate for vitamins? Let's mandate not vaccinations. Let's mandate vegetables. Let's mandate vitamins. Vitamin B complex. That's really going to stop the respiratory rate. 56% of the people that took that, they said that if you take vitamin B complex for corona, guess what? It will decrease your chances of getting it by 56%. This is medical research. So we just got to do things that's going to promote the body, and we will have health. We will have healing. Give the body what it needs where it's deficient, and then you will be strong enough to fight.
Yeah. I have a specific question before we lose you here. So the woman in the video had mentioned that she was doing something from 6 a.m. to 10 o'clock at night. What were the kinds of things that she was doing that was like an all-day sort of schedule of wellness, a schedule of wellness?
So Heather, she was going through, she did everything I told her. So number one, she was getting adjustments like 5 times a day. She worked here, so 5 times a day. Every adjustment builds on the next. So if there's nothing to adjust, you cannot adjust. If you need one adjustment, you're going to feel better after the next one. So yes, I do that for my patients, and I don't charge them extra because I know if there's something wrong. I haven't even taken a Tylenol since 2007. This is the only thing I do for my health. So I live this, and I'm passionate about it because I know it works. And so that's why I go to my patient's house in the middle of the night, I will do that. If you call me, I'm not charging you extra. I'll be at your house to get you adjusted so you don't have to go into the medical sick ward. Okay. And so, she was doing the supplements. So we had her doing quercetin, which boosts the immune system, all the immune system boosting, D3, oxygen therapy. We had her on oxygen. Cancer, actually, Dr. Otto Warburg got a Nobel Peace Prize for showing when you replace sugar with oxygen in the cell, it kills cancer cells. So she was doing her oxygen therapy. She's doing ozone therapy. Also, I did the IVs. We're going to be doing vitamin IVs in our office, and she was doing vitamin C IVs. So
I've heard of that.
the research shows that when it enters the blood, it turns into oxygen. So it literally goes in, boosts the immune system, and kills cancer cells. Okay, if you look at the Gerson Therapy Institute, it's an institute in Mexico where they just help people with all types of tumors without drugs. This is one of the primary therapies that they do, eating a raw diet and vitamin C. And they have, if you look at we're playing in the office right now, I think it's Food Matters, and you will see the tumors just shrink just from the vitamin C IVs in a couple of months.
Wow.
So she was doing that. She was doing the coffee enemas to clear out her immune system. Okay. So putting the coffee enema in, you do that. Your colon is your second brain. If your colon's off, you're going to start to develop cancer cells eventually. So some people higher than others. So doing the coffee enemas to get that immune system boosted. She was doing mushrooms. She was drinking her water. She was on, I actually had her on a keto diet. So keto diet right now, if somebody got cancer or not just keto, I will even eliminate the meat and the dairy. So, but she had grass-fed meats, the highest grass-fed pasture-raised meats, grass-fed cheeses and different things like that. And then no sugar whatsoever. So, sugar substitutes would be monk fruit, erythritol. Those are things that you can do. But, juicing, all those different things that flush out the cells. And every 120 days, you get new cells and old cells die off. So you just need to give the body enough time to start to heal and just restrict it of anything that you would normally do. Like when you come to me and you have cancer or something like that, I don't cure anything. But I'm going to tell you, look, we need to go through a major overhaul. And is it worth it to you to shrink these dead cells, allow them to die so new cells can heal, regeneration to cells from the adjustments, regeneration from foods that give life, and you will see your body heal.
I got a question. You mentioned the keto diet, and I want to bring this banner up. Can you explain these real briefly, these diets, and let people know where they should, what's the purpose for them, and what should they go to, what's the best one for overall health? Especially with regards to your immune system?
Oh, well, I would say if you're looking at the best diet on there, it will be the raw food diet. I mean, that's the hardest. It's hard for people to do that. But if you're desperate for health, that's the one you should do, because guess what? You're only putting food in. The raw food diet, especially if you're using red fruits, it's going to clear out the immune system. If you're dealing with AIDS, if you're dealing with herpes, and you want to get rid of those viruses, even cancers, that's the one to allow your body to start to reverse the diseases that you say that you cannot live without. What we normally put people on when you come into our office is a organic ketogenic diet. Okay, so you're using healthy fats, because healthy fats burn fat. You're doing the highest animal products and those things. But ketogenics, some people, depending upon what you have going on, I may say, hey, this one, that's our start. We have a core plan too. We actually show you some healthier grains and different things, but there's no grains on there because grains are super inflammatory to your body. So I would say that the Atkins diet,
I didn't know that.
Very similar to the ketogenic diet, but you want to be in ketosis, because ketosis is when your body burns fat. It also builds up your immune system and different things like that. There's a movie called the Magic, I think it's called The Magic Pill on Netflix, and it goes through the ketogenic diet where a lot of people actually got rid of their cancers and diseases with that's the ketogenic, using animal fats. I think that's the one I've been using overall, especially that's the one that's my core plan. But I also make sure I'm not using pork or worms or, organic foods, making sure that it's as clean as possible. Vegetarian diet is also good as well. But again, you want to make sure that you are, you are not using for the vegetarian and the vegan diet. I really like vegan diet too, but you need to be a clean vegetarian and clean vegan, because if you're eating all of the breads, it's going to turn to sugar and cause inflammation, and you're changing it to rice and all of the pasta, and you're just saying, I'm not going to eat any egg products, I'm not going to eat any meat products, but you have a whole plate of fried donuts and all of this different things with sugar and saying I'm healthy, you're kidding yourself. You are not healthy. You're going to be sick too. Okay. So, all these processed meats, you look at the Beyond and all these different things that are better for you. Then you would say that people think that they're better than the red meats and different things like that. But what are all the corn processed, the estrogen dominance, which causes cancers and hormonal damage? So you got to watch that. Okay. Weight Watchers, same thing. They're doing portion control. But again, we're not talking about the portions. We're talking about what is the body going to turn into. And whatever you are what you eat, and you are what you ate. So you got to make sure that what you ate the right foods, like using grass-fed meat if you aren't going to do that. And then you also want to make sure, so you don't want a cow that ate corn and now they got diabetic pus ulcers. If you've seen some of the videos with the cows are falling over from eating all the sugar in the corn, you want to add that ate grass, the grass-fed, so they have the right fatty acid ratio. So then when you do, you don't get tired. You're having the proper fats, or you have cage-free animals, when the animals were not, able to roam around and have activity. But if you just say, hey, an egg is an egg, and you go and you see the chicken coops where the chicken are pooping on each other and throwing up on each other, and they're all antibiotic, and they're eating each other's poop and all this different thing, and you eating that animal, you're going to be sick. Okay.
Right.
We need to change. And so those are the things that I recommend. And so based on what's going on, I give you a recommendation for all those different things. And so there's good and with all diets, but let's clean it up. So if you have a vegan, you got to clean it up raw, clean that up. And, let's look at the science behind the body. Everything that I talk about is the science behind it. And everybody's different. So some people can handle some things, some people can't. My husband, he can be on the core plan, which you can have like, raw honey, dates, different things like that. For me, when I get on that too long, I'm like all inflamed and stuff. So I can go back to a raw vegan, all these different things. So, those are the things.
One of the things that I noticed, I just saw a video on this yesterday. We're talking about healthy food. Okay, inner cities don't have the access to the, like the Whole Foods grocery stores or Sprouts. And I know this is not really what you do, but how can you, what can we do to try to encourage communities to put these type of grocery stores in their communities where they have access? They don't have to drive so far to get clean food.
Well, you don't have to drive far, because guess who's losing business? Some of the big box stores. So if you actually go to Walmart, they have an organic section now. Most of the things that you get at Walmart, Target, you just got to know what you're looking for. All these super cheap, organic, and then, eliminating the grains, different things, choosing your meats and your vegetables, organic and grass-fed, those things. You can get them at Walmart. You can get them at Target. You can buy it online, all those different things. And so the people with inner city, they just need to say, okay, this is what I have for my budget. Let's put a plan. We have a plan for people that are super poor. We have a plan for people that are super rich. It doesn't matter. You can be able to eat well. You just need to know, well, guess what? You might need to just be on vegetables. You might need to use, almond flour, different things like that. If you can't afford the meat, it's not that much more, maybe $1 or $2 more. You just can't buy the other stuff. And guess what? You can use Whole Foods except food stamps. So it's no excuse. You just take that little drive and know that, hey, I'm going to get healthy food and go spend $200 of food stamps at the, because you took a 15-minute drive out of the city. You have an opportunity to go and have that. Is even better for you, because guess what? The government's paying for it.
Right. Well, that's what people need to hear, because that's the argument. So people need to hear what you just said to make it it's like almost like put, like I always use the term, like put it where the ghosts can eat it. Put it right in front of their face so they can understand that it's not as difficult, but that's the argument.
That's what I say. That's BS. It's, what is it? Belief systems.
Okay.
You're like, oh, no, it's just your belief systems. And so that's why I do a Mastermind, to change your belief systems. You just got to change what you believe and get you some facts and get you what you need to do. And so that's why I love speaking into the community. If you know anybody that want me to come into the community, I will give you all this information. I can show you how to do it. I can show you what you can do, 12-minute workout, more beneficial than an hour. That's going to burn fat and keep you healthy, show you what foods to eat, show you how to get the cheap food, all those different things, what programs they have. And, a lot of times we do free adjustments on Saturdays to make sure the community get what they need. So there are a lot of things that we need to do. I'm going to start the Healing Hands Foundation coming up this year. And so people will donate when we do like free drives and stuff. And so people can come in and get free health care. So we want to be able to get that to the cities and get that to people that can't afford care, because I know that, getting adjusted is not a luxury. It is the solution to healthcare crisis. Okay.
Right.
So we look at research where they showed that people that get adjusted have 85% less drugs, 60% less hospitalizations. This is the answer. This is based on research. And so I'm very passionate, as you can see, that about people's lives, about people's futures, about what you can do right now, and waking people up and say, hey, you are important. I don't care where you come from. I'm going to take care of whoever walks in the door. We're going to find a way for you as long as you're willing. We're going to figure it out for you. So let me inbox me, talk to me. I'm going to be doing my Talk About It Tuesdays to get more information out here like that. So that's what we're doing for the future.
In the comment box, you put your information in the contact box, like maybe your website, so people can know how to get in contact. I know this is by being internet. People from all over the place are watching this, but I'd like I've experienced with your practice, that I can come and ask you for some resources and you can tell me where people can go get it. And you've done that. Yeah. So if you can put your information in the comment box, that way people can see it and they can reach out and get some resources in their communities and just some counsel. If they're in the Texas area, they can come see you out in Frisco.
Yes, and Max Living, I'm so passionate. Max Living made me this way. And so Max Living, a group of doctors across the nation on a mission to change healthcare. And I'm a Max Living doctor. And so you go to maxliving.com and key in and your zip code and find a doctor. Go to the dinners. We do dinner with the docs, whatever it is. Get on the webinars and everything. They have a host of nutrition and recipes on the website. Everything you need to do. So I really hope that you go to a Max Living doctor, because you're going to get this holistic approach to health. We look at the mindset, we look at the nutrition, exercise, detoxification, adjustments, and pre and post x-rays, doing exactly what you need to do to discover the root cause and walk you through your care, call you, take care of you, and love on you like you're a family, because we're all about family and we are all about caring. And so yes, so there are doctors across the nation. We have over 250 doctors that are waiting. So you go to maxliving.com. I'm going to put my specific one. It's Dr. Krystal, Extraordinary Health. And, find out what you need. We're going to be able to do that.
Thank you for that, because if there's somebody out there that right now has a question for you about, because there's a lot of information and we don't have we can't get to it all, and we want to make sure that people can get a hold of you and get their questions answered and get some get what they need.
So, yeah, definitely.
Thank you for being on, Dr. Krystal. Thank you for being here.
Really appreciate it.
Well, I'm here anytime you want. As you can see, I'm like burning to get the word out to people about things that they can be healthy, to take care of people, to transform this world, to give them answers when everybody has fear right now. What does the research say? What do we need to be doing for our health, for our healing? And so that's what I'm really passionate about. So if you're out there, if you have questions, if you're suffering with something, let me know. I will send it to you in the right direction so you can get some answers and get you what you need to do to be healthy this year.
Thank you. I really appreciate your time today. I thank you. And I will be in on Monday morning for my adjustment.
That's right. You and your wife, because we're family.
Oh, so I was telling people about my neck, and it's like, it's really weird, but you were showing me how my neck was, like the brainstem area was going straight and need to be curved, and it went so far, it went past where you needed to be.
Yeah, you worked hard, LaMarr. We was like, look, you need to stop coming in for a little while. You were overcorrecting, so that's good. That's good.
Explain to people what that is, that arc of life, real quick, and how that's the important part of your healing process.
Yes. So when we talk about the arc of life, we look here. You look here. This is a curve in your neck. This is a normal, healthy curve. Okay, so we're talking about the central nervous system, the brain and nervous system. This is what we need to do to make sure that we are healthy. Okay, so when we look here, we have the back of your skull here, the front of your face here. That top bone has to be up at a 31-degree angle. Okay, when that bone shifts down, it crushes your brainstem. Your brainstem controls everything, controls every single function. So we cut this open. This brainstem has to be nice, white, and plump. What these white lines are nerves. These are the nerves that control your heart, control your lungs, control your liver. So we have to make sure that that brainstem is nice, white, and plump. From your brainstem and nerves, your spinal cord comes down. From your brainstem and nerves, your spinal cord comes down. Also, you can see that there is a curve in the neck. Okay, that's called the arc of life. When you lose your arc, you lose your life. Sickness and disease will start to come in. When we look here, we look here. These white bones, these are the vertebrae, and the black space in between are the discs. The discs are there to provide fluid, to provide nutrients, to keep your body healing, to keep everything from degenerating. Also, these are the holes where the nerves exit out, okay? So we want to make sure that the discs are nice and open so it's not bone on bone. When this is closed off, you're crushing the nerve to your heart. These are nerves that go to your organs. You're crushing the nerves that go into your lungs, your liver. Okay, so we need to make sure that that is 100%. Also, you can see here where that spinal cord and nerves is here, that black space, you can see where it's open. So that's where the nerves need to exit. Also, you see the fluid in the disc that we're talking about and the curve in the neck. So when you lose this arc, you literally press on the spinal cord. It starts to choke off healing, choke off health. Okay, so this is what we want to see. So your body is functioning, so your brain is getting proper signals, organs are working well. We get the phase one. This has been here for at least 10 years. How do we know? So is this person healthy or sick? We look here. They're sick. Why do we know? Arc of life, curve and no curve, no curve. So what's happening to the spinal cord and nerves? It's literally being stretched and choked off. So what's happening to the organs? That is controlling. It's shutting down. Okay, when we look at this top bone, it should be up. This one's up. You see the brainstem nice and healthy. This one is flat. Okay, so does this brainstem and nerves look like that brainstem and nerves? No, this one is literally flat. It's being crushed off, like taking a spinal cord and choked it off. Oxygen is being cut off. Healing is being cut off. Now, pain or no pain, you would think this person would be in pain. But when you think about it, think about people with brain surgery. It's done while they're awake because there are no pain fibers in your brainstem or your spinal cord. So this top bone, which is a subluxation, which is an interference, can be happening to you right now and you not even feel it. But if this is your brainstem, if this is your spinal cord, if this is the nerves that's controlling your organs, what's happening to you, what's been happening, and what's going to continue to happen if you leave that damage there? Do you save time and do you save money? No, you spend it on heart disease, you spend it on cancer. As you go into phase two, now this curve is in the opposite direction. You can see here where the fluid in the disc is being lost. It's literally bone on bone. The body's literally decaying, decomposing. You see fluid, no fluid. It's degenerating. The spinal the nerves are cut off. Doctor can't run more tests. What's happening? Pressure nerve to heart, brainstem, bone is flat, it's crushed. And then, you know, this is disease developing. In phase three, I don't see patients in here. They're dead in a nursing home. So what we were talking about, we took you from here to back to normal, and you got that curve back. So you got that pressure off the spinal cord. You got that life flowing in. Your body's fighting disease better. It's fighting heart disease better. Why? Because your structure determines your function, and your nervous system function is the master control system of your health. So now you know that you're healthy based on the x-rays that we've seen, and that's why you've seen the changes in your body. You feel it. Your brain is clearer. You're breathing better. You're functioning better. Every adjustment. And so that's what.
Appreciate it. I know we went over time with you, but I want to just thank you again. And I would love to do this again with you on the air and let you come on and talk again on the show and just educate people on their on how to heal their body.
Yes.
Any last thing for Darrin? Any last things?
No, thank you so much. You've inspired me to take better care of myself, and so I can feel your positive energy, and it's flowing into me, and I will take it to heart. So thank you so much.
God bless you. I'm so excited. Yes, another life saved. Praise God.
What'd you say?
Another life saved. Power's on. Praise God.
Power's on. Take care. Now. Have a good one. Oh man, that was real encouraging. She's like really excited and passionate all the time, and that's her for real every day. Um,
Lots of energy there.
yeah, that's how it is
You
when I
feel
go
it.
in there
You
every
can
day.
feel it. You can feel
Yeah,
you can
man.
feel the vibes, and you feel like the her mind and her body and soul are all together in one, and they're
Yeah,
functioning correctly.
yeah, they're functioning, man, and whew. So that's what that's my doctor I've been telling you about. So I was so
Yep,
happy
there it
to
is.
finally get her on, and she confirmed yesterday. I went to go get an adjustment, and I was like, I need to get you on my show. She was like, when? I said tomorrow. She's like, I'm there. I like for real. She's like,
There
yeah,
it
I'll
is.
be on. And she hates um virtual calls like this. She cannot
Okay.
stand video conferencing because she's like,
Okay.
video conferencing is people are relying on that more so than relying on healing their body so they can get back to be with people again. So
Yeah.
that's her mindset on that. But yeah, we have another guest coming up.
I'm
Um,
excited to talk to this guest. She is 13 years old. We have her and her mom on.
yeah,
And thank you for waiting, Chance. Thank you for being with us, Chance and Cynthia
yeah,
Eisler. And we want to
yes,
talk to them. We want to know what they're all about and what she is doing in her business.
yes. Hello, how you doing today?
Doing well.
That
Good
is so
morning. Good
awesome. That
morning.
is so
Good
awesome.
morning. Good
For one
morning.
thing, I want to just congratulate the young entrepreneur because that's something that we need to push more is entrepreneurship, and to understand that you can do this and you can have your own business. You make your own rules. You can set it up the way you want to set it up. You're your own boss, and that's exciting to see somebody young doing that. And we just welcome you to the show. So you want to tell us a little bit about what you do and your business?
So, so my business is called PS I Miss You. What's your story? And my dad, he passed of cancer when I was 10 years old.
Sorry
And
about that.
it's
Sorry to
okay,
hear that.
thank you. And when you're a kid, like when you lose like a parent or a brother or a sister, you don't really know how to deal with your grief because like you're a child, you don't know like what to do without them. And he was there, like he lived with me, like I saw him every day. He would take me to school, pick me up from school. So it's different than like losing somebody distant in my family, like an aunt or an uncle that I'm not close to. What to do without them, and he was there.
Sorry
like,
about that.
He lived with me, like I.
Sorry about that. I was trying. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, and so my mom and my sister had this idea that we should help kids that have lost someone because I don't want a child to go through the same type of confusion I went through because it was really hard. Like I didn't know if I was supposed to cry or not because I thought I had to be strong for my mom and my sister and my brother.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we make gift boxes for teens and adults and like the elderly, basically all ages for people that have lost someone, just because we want to make them feel loved and we want them to know that they are not alone, because when you lose someone you do feel like you're alone.
Yes. So what are some of the things that are in these gift boxes that you create?
Yeah.
So we can do journals because I actually have my own gift box. Well, it's not a gift box. It's like I call it a memory box that I made. And like on the top I have the day my dad passed, and then when you open it up, it has a bunch of different things in it. So, for example, I have a journal in there because I journal like sometimes daily, sometimes weekly, and I pretend like I'm telling my dad about my day or stuff that has happened, like in school and stuff. And we also have pens in there just so you can like write in the journal. We do chocolates. We actually do Hershey Kisses because like we're sending our love. We do scarves like for ladies. We can do gloves also. We do tea because my dad, he was a super big fan of tea. What else, Mom?
For little girls, we have a little jewelry box because in Chance's memory box, she has different bracelets and things that my husband bought her. My husband was he was a traveler. He was an entrepreneur himself. and he would go to Africa a lot. So he would bring her back a lot of bracelets and different items.
Okay.
And so she also, we also have in the boxes honey sticks or hot chocolate for kids. We have, you know, sometimes a little teddy bear with a little heart on it, a glass teddy bear. We have mugs, different little mugs that say different little things for adults, like stay strong, stay healthy, you know, remain inspired. So a lot of inspirational things. So our boxes are, sometimes we're just out and we'll see something, we'll say that's perfect for a box. And we just create the boxes, you know, with whatever items that are maybe like for January, we created this thing saying T anyone because of her father. We have a love box, you know, that just has things in there that remind you of love. We get a lot of the little desk items, the wooden desk pieces that you can place beside your bed or at your desk, and it's inspiring, like never give up. We love you, a bushel and a peck and a hug around the neck, things like that. Things that make people feel good, because in death, when someone dies, your life doesn't stop, but you have to know how to continue to go forward. And that is what the message in the box is about, is helping the person to continue to go forward.
Right. How did the concept of the box, the gift box, how did that start? Where did that idea come from?
So I have a cousin named Dorisa, and she is a serial entrepreneur. My cousins and I, along with my friend George, we were having a prayer meeting every morning at 7:30 a.m.
Okay.
And so my cousin Dorisa, she said, if each of you can come up with your own business idea, I'll create the website for you. So she challenged us. And so in that, I called my daughter Chelsea and I said, you need to help. I really want to do a wedding box. I really like doing really beautiful, pretty things for people. And so we never did that. And then my cousins and I decided to do our own business. But my daughter, when my daughter Chance had a really bad day one day, she was really missing her dad. And so I ran downstairs and I called my oldest daughter and I said, we have to do something to help her. And she says, why don't we create a box for children? Why don't we create a grief box so that it will help Chance heal? So if we help her, by her helping others, will help her. So that's how the gift box for
that's amazing.
How many people have you been able to help through this?
Over 100. We went we pretty much went live in December. And so
just last month, just a month ago.
Just last month, yes.
And so, already 100 people.
Over 100 people, and people have been calling. My husband had a very huge has a very huge family, and they have. I mean, we've shared it with them. They've shared it with their friends. So
a lot of it's been word of mouth, then. Yes.
And she was just interviewed on the news channel here, WCNC TV, and that post has just been shared and shared and shared and shared. So
that's terrific.
That is awesome.
So how can somebody get, if I know somebody who could benefit from this, can I sign them up, or would they have to do it themselves?
You can send a gift. So we have a website.
Okay.
We have a Facebook and an Instagram. And so I see that Bria just put the
website. Somebody could receive this box as a surprise, for example.
Yes.
Okay, great.
I like that. That's really great. What are some of your plans for the coming year then? As far as, are you planning on expanding this? Are you trying to reach more people with this?
Well, the biggest thing that's going to happen this year is I'm hoping to get my book published. So I have my book written. The story of how I actually started writing my book is I go to therapy at this place called Kindermorn. It's specially made for people who have lost someone. So that's where I go. So I was in therapy one day and my therapist said, we can just do this little activity and I want you to write a book. So I told my mom about it and she thought it was a good idea. So I started writing my book. And then my sister mentioned that it would be a good idea to actually get it published. So I have my book written. I'm just hoping to get it published this year. So that's probably the biggest thing that's coming this year.
Awesome. That is awesome.
Also, we're trying to, we also want to do a 501c nonprofit. I've reached out to some of my friends who have their own businesses, and we are trying to this year, once a month, give away a box to one of those organizations, and allowing the owners of those organizations to select a family that is grieving. I have one friend who owns her own psychoanalytic business. She's actually a doctor of a psychoanalytic doctor. And so I want to make sure that she can give one of our boxes away. So we're going to do a 12-month giveaway to different companies that deal with families who are grieving, because the box is for death. But we've also found out along our journey is that people are grieving in other ways too. You know, children who are going through divorce. You know, there was one little girl, her mom, you know, was like, this would be great for her because she can know about how the pain of divorce is, you know, affecting her life. There was also a family that we became close with through another friend here that we're close with, whose daughter was in the hospital. She was a 3-year-old little girl, and she was in the hospital and she was dying. So we sent a gift box to her family to provide hope for the mom and the dad, and to give them a sense of comfort as they went through that. So it's expanding in its own way, because we're finding out that, yes, we started it because of Chance's grief, but there's so many other families that we're hearing about, and, you know, that there's so much grief out here. So we do as much as we can. And by, you know, I'm a social worker, I'm a social work supervisor. So I've seen a lot of pain. I've done it for over 27 years. So, you know, maybe expanding in some way to help children who are being removed from their family and, you know, being adopted. Because what happens if we don't address the grief, then it turns into trauma. And then the trauma, then we hear about the person who blew this building up, or this person who murdered his family, because there's something happened along the way. And that is what it wasn't dealt with.
Do you put together these boxes yourself, Chance?
Yes. Well, my mom, she's better at like putting this stuff together, because she just has this thing where she can put anything together. She's super creative with putting stuff together. So I'm better at each box comes with a personalized letter from me. So I'll write like if somebody has lost their father like I did, I will say, I'm very sorry for your loss. I understand what you're going through. I know it's hard, but I promise it will get better. And I'll just write like a letter, because I know in some gift boxes you receive like a letter that everybody gets. It's just it's not a special feeling, because when you get a personalized letter from somebody, it makes you feel special. Right. They took the time to write that letter to you. So my mom is better at putting the boxes together, but I put the letter in there. And sometimes I'll be like, Mom, I think this will go better, or Mom, I like that.
Yeah.
Do you hear back from some of your some of the people that you have helped?
They normally email me or text me, and they just, you know, are outdone or overwhelmed. And, you know, I had one lady, Mrs. Brown, Chance's godfather's mother. She called me and we were both crying on the phone. She was saying when she opened the box, there was so much love in the box, and it just really touched her. So then she ordered a box for her sister-in-law who had lost her husband. So it just continues to grow, and it makes us feel good that it really helps people feel loved and feel supported and feel as if, though, wow, I didn't get flowers this time, but I got something that I can open now or open later, or just continue to open. Because I remember when my husband passed, everybody paid, the attention was towards me. So as you think about it, and as you think back when you were younger, you don't realize how children are left out of the grieving process. They walk in the house, first thing they look for is the mom, the dad, or the wife, or whomever. And even at the funeral, I didn't realize that my daughter wasn't even sitting beside me because someone else had taken her. But everything is about the adults, and then children are usually outside playing. You know, I remember, as I think back, my daughter was upstairs with her cousins or outside with her cousins. She wanted to go to school. Life doesn't stop for them. I had an opportunity to take time off of work. Life didn't stop for her. She was expected to do her work at school, expected to pass her test, expected to just continue to go on. At the same time, she was grieving. At the same time, she was in school wanting to probably cry because she was like, Dad's not going to pick me up today. But she had to keep her composure. And that's so unfair to children.
Mm-hmm. That's an awesome testimony, though. That is an awesome testimony. How would you use encouraging words do you have right now for young men and women that are seeking entrepreneurship?
I think that whatever you do, it should be your passion. This has actually become my passion because it's really nice to know that I'm helping somebody out there. And also make sure you have support, because support is really helpful when you have a business. Like, I have a bunch of friends. I didn't know if my friends would like share my business or support my business, just because it's not a normal thing a kid would do, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But when I told them like about my business, they were super supportive. They were told their whole family and everything. So make sure you have support. And another thing is, my dad, one thing he said was, your best work comes from your worst pain. And my worst pain was losing him. And now I'm like making a difference for other people because they won't have to feel so alone. And like, yeah.
That's awesome. That is awesome. You have a really good daughter there. That is awesome. That is awesome. Wow, I'm speechless, really. I was like taken back because to see this and knowing that how much people go through pain. And 2020 was a year of pain for a lot of people. Did the COVID situation increase your business because of the pain that people are going through, or did you have a chance to really just encourage people that were going through that pain just by conversation? You didn't have to be a box, but just by conversation, because we saw a lot of pain from loss of jobs, children doing homeschooling and then were not adjusted to it, dying from COVID, all the lockdowns, everything that was going on in 2020, that this allow you to be even more help to others?
Yesterday.
Yes. Well, I don't really know if COVID, I don't think we've really gotten a lot of COVID orders, but I know COVID has affected a lot of people, like from not being able to go anywhere. And I know it affected me a lot and a lot of kids in the world because we can't see our friends anymore. I see one of my friends that goes to my school, but we can't really see each other that often because we have to be safe.
Yeah.
But I do think that COVID has affected a lot of people in the world. And Mom?
So yesterday, a social worker did pick up 2 boxes for a 14-year-old girl and an 11-year-old girl. Although she's a social worker, she's actually a friend of the family.
Okay.
And the father passed of COVID. He was a coach, and her husband and the guy were coaches together. And so that was one. And she and I talked at the doorway as she picked the boxes, and she just didn't know how to present the box to the children. And so I told her that I thought maybe showing the WCNC TV video would help. And then she could just basically say, I know a little girl who's going through similar to what you guys are going through, although she lost her father to cancer and they lost their father to COVID. But the most interesting thing that she said that made this even more important is that she said when she got to the house, because the little girl called her to come to the house because she wanted someone to be there with the mom because the dad was in the living room and the police were there, and the paramedics. Yeah. And so she said the children were numb. They weren't crying.
Yeah.
They weren't showing any type of emotion. And so for me, it was like another reason to continue this, because we think they're okay because they're quiet, because they're dumb, and they're not. Wow. They just don't know how to express themselves. Yeah. They don't understand it. They don't get it. They don't know what it's going to be like a year from now when they're looking for that parent, how tough it's going to be when they need that person. They're not there.
Right. Wow.
This is I'm so glad to have you guys on this morning. As a pastor, excuse me, I struggle with trying to help families in the grieving process because of COVID, because we're not supposed to get together as much. We're not supposed to, even getting together for the funeral is problematic for a lot of people. And so there's something missing there for families in the healing process. And so something like this, because it's so personal, because of your experience, is something that is so needed nowadays. And so I just commend you for your work. I'm going to be, if there's an opportunity that I can refer somebody to this, that I will definitely do so. So
Yeah,
Thank
that is awesome. Any final comments that you would like to have, or a bottom line point that you like to make about your business?
No.
We always make everybody say something for a bottom line. I won't force you to say it. Give us something a final word about your company.
Let's talk about your dad.
Okay, Mom. What's the bottom line that you like to give?
I just like to say that it is just so important to be there for someone who's grieving.
yeah.
Even if you call them and they say, we're good, I don't need anything, they really do need you. And don't ask what it
Yeah.
is that you can do, just do.
Okay.
Don't ask, because that's what we experience. We have a huge community to come to our rescue. And I'm so glad that they didn't take my, no, we're good, because oftentimes when you're a person who you're just used to handling things and dealing with your own things, but it really, when you look back on it, it makes you feel good that people showed you love. So
Right.
continue to show
Yeah.
love to one another. That's the biggest thing.
Right. Like that.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
for
much.
that. That was great. This is great to have you.
Thank you for coming on the show. And
Thank you all for having me.
I'm gonna follow up with you all later in the year and get you on again to see how business is going.
Yeah, can we? That'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Okay,
That'd be
thank you.
awesome.
That's PMIS Miss You. What's your story? And the website is there, and we will definitely have them back. You take care. You guys have a great weekend.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Man, that was awesome.
Wow.
Man, I got kind of choked up there
So,
thinking about that.
yeah, I got emotional.
I can't,
Sorry, I had to turn my camera off there.
yeah, I I know people right now that would benefit from a box right now.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
I know people right
Yes,
now,
very much so.
and I'm definitely going to be supporting her business. Chance has a good thing going there, and when you can do something to help someone else who's grieving or just going through a hard time, and you can step in and be a
Mhm.
bridge to some type of peace or anything,
Yes.
that's a good thing. And to be so young, I mean, no telling what this is going to take this young lady. That's awesome, man.
But and especially since she can speak from a place of experience, having
Mhm.
somebody that's been through that same thing before makes
Yeah,
such a big difference.
yeah.
Knowing that somebody's out there that has experienced what you've experienced.
Hmm.
So if somebody lost a parent at a young age like she did, um, that's very meaningful for
Yeah.
people. So
And I'm sure there's been businesses like this in the past, but it's different when you see a young person do it.
yeah,
And like I said, we never really get a chance to talk to Chance about her grief. Like what
okay.
was she experiencing?
Mm,
And you need to get real like that. So
mm, okay.
people don't look at, like she said, people didn't realize that children were grieving.
Yeah, I mean that's a
So
good point because
yeah,
we become very myopic sometimes
yeah,
when we experience a lot of pain and grief, um, and even our own family, we might
yeah,
be sort of blind to what's going on to our children,
yeah.
who are in our households as well. So
Hmm.
very good stuff there. That was excellent.
Yeah, I was really really shocked, man. So tomorrow's Martin Luther King Day, man. Not tomorrow, Monday.
No, not tomorrow. Monday is yes.
Monday. I must say Monday, Martin Luther King Day. I got a question. Do you think Martin Luther King Day should be a holiday where, like say for instance, the 4th of July or Christmas, where everyone's off or majority of people are off? Because
Yes.
right now it's not. I don't think it's still a holiday where everyone's off work yet.
No, like we were talking about beforehand, before we went live this morning, that
Yeah,
you have to request days off. And it is technically a national holiday. So if you work at a
yeah,
bank or a school, you will have that off. However,
Yeah.
most of us still don't, and most of us would have to take some kind of vacation day or something. I
Yeah.
do think that it should be a day like the 4th of July. I think it should be a national day like the 4th of July, like Election Day. That's another issue. But
Right.
I kind of like the idea that they're starting to promote, at least the last several years. Maybe it's been 5 or 10 years. It's probably been longer than I think that it
Yeah.
has been. But they promoted the idea that of Martin Luther King Day becoming a day of service.
Yeah.
Okay, so for that reason, I think that it would be great that if more people had the day off, that they can go and spend the day at the food pantry helping
Yeah.
stock shelves, or
Hmm.
that they can go and go help serve a meal at the homeless shelter.
Right.
I mean, more people could do that if we had the day off. And think about what a sort of a what that would perpetuate in our society if everyone um, were able to do that and that were more of a thing. Think of like if schools did that, like as a class, like
Right.
you would go into the inner city of Cleveland or Columbus or wherever, Dallas, like your sixth grade class, for
Hmm.
example,
Yeah.
and you worked. I know that schools don't go to school, but like if you worked at the food pantry,
Yeah.
I mean, that would be, I think, more meaningful than than simply having the day off and us like, okay, we're gonna sleep in, we're gonna do Netflix and play video games or whatever it is. I think that would be more meaningful because
Right.
really, I mean, Martin Luther King he did a lot for poverty. He started the Poor People's Movement.
Right.
This was his thing, and I think we made Martin Luther King into sort of an icon, and we're forgetting a lot of the just sort of basic messages that he had. So.
Well, I think also when you talk about that, I think with Martin Luther King, um, it's like with anything in history, really. People are recognized after they're gone,
Yes.
and I think that we grew up knowing what he was about. Now we're actually seeing in society what he was talking about. It's like in our face, and I think that if we were to really bring in more of the main issues he was talking about, more so than his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. There's so many other speeches he's had that really ties into what we're dealing with in society right here in
Yes.
2021,
Yes.
and we don't talk about those things. And so it
Yes.
would be good to see a lot of that come to the forefront now. I mean, just highlight those
Yes.
things that we don't talk about. We want the unity. We want the race, every all racial backgrounds to come together. Those are great things. But he talked deeply. He talked about economics. He
Yes.
talked about,
Yes.
you know, votes, like voter suppression. He
He talked
talked
about
about all those
specifics
things.
too.
Yeah,
He
specifics.
was an organizer. He was a nationwide community organizer. And I listened to a lot of his speeches several years ago outside of the I Have a Dream speech, and he would talk specifics about like details about like what's going on in different places of the country
You're
that
right.
he was trying to build a network of to help people in poverty.
Yeah. I mean, you think about it. You've heard recently, right after January 6th, you heard the term a lot. We living in two different Americas because how the police responded
Yeah.
to the Capitol invasion. I always call it the invasion, but how the cops responded compared to the protests during the summer. That you heard the term two Americas. Well, Martin Luther King had a speech called "The Other America." He described the differences that people encounter because of your skin color. He talked
Mm,
about that. One set of one America, you get this, that, and other, and in this America, you get this, that, and other. It's not equal. And so he expressed that in the other America, and it was a really a good speech. And you can definitely just look that up on YouTube. It's there. You even have the live version of him speaking live. You can see it.
yeah, I'm gonna look that up. That
Yeah,
was in 1967, it
yeah.
says here.
1967. Yep.
Um,
2 years before I was born, man. Talking
so
about so what's the
I'm
difference?
gonna listen to that, and I think that would be very good for what's going on today.
And to think about it also back then, the things he talked about, we are still talking about today. So when
Yes.
you mention that two Americas, where have we grown? Or where I'm not gonna say where have we grown, because we can see where we grown. Where have we not grown from 1967 to 2021?
Yes.
And you can say that about anything. Anything. Where have we grown with anything in America? I mean, whether it's the banking, housing, anything. From what are the things that have not improved? The things that we have not improved on is what we as Americans should focus on improving. And
Okay.
stop saying this is how far we've come. You know, we have this now, we do this now. Let's talk about what we have not done yet.
Hmm.
What we have not done yet is what keep resurfacing. And so I would like to see those things come to the forefront, whether it's through our political system, whether it's through community involvement, whether it's through the educational system. Let's work on the things that have not improved and let's make those better for all Americans. I
Yeah.
think that would be a big step forward. And as we speak on improving all Americans, as we know, we're on like a high alert for protesting
Yeah.
this weekend. And
So
we have
you
two
said,
videos of some of that.
go ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
what was that?
Show that.
What were you going to say?
Well, we'll talk about it after that. After this.
Okay, we have two videos that we're going to play back. Well, actually, we'll play one video. Go ahead, Bria, play one of the high alert videos for the protest for this coming up for inauguration.
There's one that
Once they're gone.
As officials brace for armed protests all across the nation this weekend, including at the Ohio State House. Governor Mike DeWine said he is activating members of the Ohio National Guard in response. And NBC4's Adrian Robbins is live now at the State House with the latest on what's being done to secure that building and, of course, the people in it. Adrian?
Well, Colleen, Governor Mike DeWine said he's absolutely concerned that what we saw nearly a week ago in Washington, D.C. could happen here in Columbus, Ohio, and that concern has led him to activating hundreds of members of the Ohio National Guard from January 14th until January 21st. Now, some of these members will be heading to Washington, D.C. Others will stay here in Ohio. This after the FBI sent a memo warning about protests at state capitals across the country. Mayor Andrew Ginther today says at this time, everything's on the table when it comes to keeping Columbus secure. He told us it's a balancing act of free speech, even when he disagrees, and keeping people safe.
Folks that are coming armed to the State House that don't believe in peaceful transition in power, don't believe that the election was fair. We respect their right to protest. We just want to make sure they keep us safe and that they're keeping each other safe as well.
Now, I spoke to the Ohio State Highway Patrol today as well. They said they are evaluating security here at the State House, and if there are protests, troopers will be there. Local for you at the State House, I'm Adrian Robbins, NBC4.
So this is Ohio. An incident happened in Texas where you are at already. And there's been reports of all 50 state capitals. That's kind of hard to believe that sort of level of organization all over the country. But I think we're going to see some things happen. Now, I asked you beforehand if you were nervous about anything that's going to be happening this week.
I'm not really nervous. I would say I'm not really nervous. But what I'm concerned about, excuse me, what I'm concerned about is not the armed protests. I'm more concerned about people who want to be radical and do something really crazy.
Okay.
As we said earlier at the top of the show, if we decide to just do right, I could care less about what your politics are, what you think about politics.
Okay.
There's a point in our lives when we get ready to make a decision. You come to a crossroads. You can come to an event, and there could be a crossroad there of I can go A or I can go B. You have a choice to make.
Okay.
If your A is to harm someone, go B, and you can still protest, you can still say what you got to say, but when you get to the point of harming someone or making a stance to where you're becoming a criminal, I think that we have to reevaluate our lives, our heart, and why are we protesting in the first place?
Yes, definitely.
So when you look at the Capitol incident, there were people that I know that were there for peace. They didn't want to go there to cause a disruption.
Okay.
But there was a crossroads there. The crossroads was when you got there and you saw Confederate flags or nooses or anything that was not of your character and your belief system.
Okay.
Did you stay or did you leave? And if you stayed, why did you stay?
Why did you stay?
Why did you
Okay.
stay? Same thing will happen in these protests that may happen at all 50 state capitals. If you go there and he becomes crazy, or you hear chatter about we're going to do this or that and other, and you decide to stay, or you don't speak up and tell authorities, there's a problem that we need to be able to speak out against these issues. I can almost promise you that over 50% of the people who caused the violence on the 6th knew someone in their life that didn't say anything, that knew that they were going there to cause damage.
Okay.
I'm talking about the people that caused the damage.
Yes.
I'm not saying those that were just followers, those that had came in with the intent to cause problems.
Okay.
They knew somebody in their life that didn't speak up.
We talked about this week, 2 days ago, actually yesterday, I'm sorry. We talked about this yesterday, and we were talking about the importance of saying something if somebody's going to do something stupid or foolish, or somebody's going to do something violent, and you think that it's perhaps they might do something foolish or violent, to say something to them, to encounter them, not to just let it go because you don't want to upset them, or you don't want to damage their relationship. The relationship you have with them, that it's still important to do that and to confront that person with, look, do you really want to do this? I think that's wise what you said.
And it comes down to where when these things happen, it affects not only you that are involved, it affects people around you. And I'm going to give you an example of that. I want to we can bypass the other. We think we just played the one, but I want to go to the video.
That's okay. That's okay.
The teacher that was caught from Ohio, from this Cleveland Metropolitan School District. Play that video for us, Bria.
That's a good example.
Cleveland Schools employee Krystal Priola was arrested and federally charged for her role in the riot at the U.S. Capitol. Will Ewick has been on the story since last week and joins us now live with the very latest.
Yeah, Jay, Priola is out on bond, and it's an unsecured bond or a personal bond this evening after she made her initial appearance at the courthouse behind me, the federal courthouse here in downtown Cleveland, where she was charged with entering a restricted building, violent entry, disorderly conduct, and unlawful activities on Capitol grounds.
A former occupational therapist for the Cleveland Metropolitan School District, Krystal Priola, was arrested by the FBI this morning at her Willoughby home. This all comes after she resigned from CMSD last Thursday, one day after the Capitol riots, citing, among other things, her desire to switch career paths to focus on exposing pedophilia and not wanting to take a COVID-19 vaccine in order to return to in-person school. Then last Friday, the FBI, U.S. Marshals, and Willoughby PD searched Priola's house after an anonymous tip came in via Twitter, identifying her as someone photographed several times inside the Capitol, in which she was seen with a sign reading in part, "The children cry out for justice," and taking a picture of someone sitting in Vice President Pence's seat. The FBI took a laptop, 2 desktop computers, several thumb drives, clothing, a sign, and an iPhone from Priola's residence. Agents found the phone to be swept of data like photos, videos, and messages from January 4th through the 7th, but were able to recover some location data from January 6th, putting the phone on a Wi-Fi network just northeast of the U.S. Capitol.
Priola made her initial appearance today in Cleveland federal court, but is being charged in Washington, D.C., facing a sentence of up to 2 years in prison and fines if found guilty. That unsecured bond is a $20,000 bond, but Jay, a couple of interesting notes here. There are strings attached to it, like at-home electronic monitoring, as well as travel restrictions and computer monitoring and restrictions as well.
All right, Will Ewick with the very latest. Will continue to follow this story. We have an update for you at 6 o'clock on what matters most. Will, thank you very much.
Okay, so, I mean, we have seen so many people who are professionals, like veterans. We have seen like retired police officers, retired firefighters. We've seen lawyers be involved in this. We've seen some educated people be sort of buy into this, and I don't get it. I don't get it.
Well, I'm going to come back to this young lady here.
Okay.
Okay, I know that from some of the information I read about her, she had a heart for children that was caught up in sex trafficking and pedophilia. I can't even say the word, but
Okay.
pedophilia, and
Yes.
she had a heart for changing that. So that was her reason. That's why she had the sign in her hand. Now, her going into the Capitol again, she had an A and B decision to make. You know, and
Mhm.
she made the wrong decision, and it's costing her. But the thing about that's costing her that she never thought about. I know a person who lives on her street. I know a
Mhm.
person that lives up the street from this lady. How is that impacting her community now? Do
Yes.
because
Yes.
it happened in her community in Willoughby on her street, do the public view her community like they're viewing her?
Yeah.
Are the
They
do, the
might.
do all the people in Willoughby act like this lady? We don't
Yeah.
know.
We don't
Well,
know.
I mean, I know for a fact, but what I'm saying is that for the public perception, the people on the street, do people on the street all support her beliefs?
Yes.
That's something we don't know. And
Yep.
so she's has impacted her whole community because of a negligent stance.
Mhm.
Now, I'm not
And the
saying
school
that,
that you might have worked at too.
and then I was coming to that next. The school that she worked at, she had to put a resignation letter in the next day. She
Yep.
knew she was going to be fired. She knew
Yes.
she was going to be fired.
That's
Now,
why she erased the data from her phone. She knew that she was wrong in doing this.
right. So then I know people who work with her, who knew
Wow.
her, who work with her. So
Okay.
it's like, okay, and it's the thing about it. People think that their ways are hidden. You don't have to say who you are, what you believe in. But from what I understand, she was more radical than she gave off to be. And that goes to the point of
Hmm.
why was her phone wiped? Why did she wipe all the data out of her phone? If she was doing things for a good cause, she would use that data to say, "This is what I'm really about." But when you
Right.
wipe the data out of your phone, what are you hiding?
Yep.
So I I'm saddened by the fact that now when she's a counselor that's supposed to be a person to encourage and inspire and lift up young people,
Okay.
you have now put a damper on that process, or you may have hindered their progress because of your actions. So if
Yes.
you're helping a young person with emotional issues, did you just help that person, or did you make that person worse, or did you improve that person
Hmm.
by your very own actions?
Yeah.
So when we make mistakes like this, we impact more people than we realize.
Yes.
I mean, like I said, I talked to two people yesterday and who had some contact with this lady. And the one person said he worked with her. It was like, hey, you know, I saw this already. We saw this years ago. We saw what she was about years ago. So if that one person saw what she was about years ago, there's somebody in the school district that didn't see what didn't see it either.
Hmm.
Why wasn't her ways addressed? Or if she was really way out there somewhere with her thinking and mindset, did somebody approach her to have a conversation?
She works with people. She's in a people-oriented job. She would have had
Exactly.
contact with a lot of people, and
Yeah.
nobody like saw any red flags in her behavior or what she's doing in her free time, anything. So yeah, I mean, we need to speak up, and they're getting serious about cracking down on people. I mean, when you get your house searched, you know, that's this is getting serious, and they're
How
going to
much?
be serious about cracking down on this stuff.
So how much of this infringes on the freedom of speech?
If it's about security and keeping other people safe and from crimes and from terrorism, quite frankly, it's terrorism, then I think it's valid. I think it's
Yeah.
warranted.
Okay.
This is what this is. I mean, this is if you're talking about like causing even a disruption,
Yeah.
um, then that has to be investigated. If you're going to go into a public space, if you're threatening elected officials, that's a federal crime.
Well, one thing I
You
learned
can't threaten
recently.
an elected official like a senator or something like that.
Yeah.
That's serious. That's serious stuff. We got to take
Yeah.
that seriously.
Well, I'm gonna have Bria put up another picture of the guy with the green helmet. Now, I talked to people in Ohio who knew the teacher. I haven't talked to anybody who knew this particular gentleman, but for me, it's kind of close to home because he was right from the neighborhood I just moved from recently. Bring that picture up, Bria. It's in the overlays. Says the green helmet guy or something of that nature. See if you can see it in the overlays. And I may be able to grab it for you. Yeah. So the thing about it now, this is the guy that they arrested the day before yesterday. He's from North Texas. Um, he says that the zip ties that he has in his hand, he
Uh-huh.
picked off the ground and he was going to give them to the police when he saw the police. Now, if he's
No.
inside the chamber there, that means he passed several police officers to get to the chamber.
Yes.
Because there were officers in the hallway of the chamber that was keeping people from getting in the chamber. So he's an ex Air Force uh, serviceman, and so um, that's kind of scary that we have ex-military that are involved in this type of thing. So
Yep. Yeah. I
again,
mean,
again, there's people who know this guy, people who lived in his neighborhood. There's family members. Everyone now are looking at those people. Are you just like this guy?
mhm.
And the sad part is our actions affect people around us. They do.
Yep.
I mean, every day I step out of my house, every time I come on this show right here, when I come on the Bottom Line show, I have to think how my actions impact my
Mm.
wife, my
Okay.
children,
Okay.
my parents,
Yeah.
because this is a public platform.
Mhm.
I am thankful that people have came to me or inboxed me and say, I really appreciate that you're pretty fair in your conversation. You're not all one side. You give it, you give a good balance. I'm responsible for what I do. I'm
Yes.
responsible for
And
what I
what you
say.
say.
I'm responsible. And so if I come off of this show and I decide to go protest somewhere and I get out of character, now I'm responsible for even you. You
Hmm.
know, my show reflects how people think about Darren Harvey.
So,
So I think about these
yeah.
things regularly. I think about this all the time. And we just
This
had this conversation yesterday where you mentioned
Yes.
about Trump supporters
Yes,
having
this is
signs
what
up
I was
in their
about to get
yard.
to, yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead then.
No, I mean, this speaks to what I got to yesterday, and I apologize if I got angry because I was a bit angry with
Yeah.
people and I was agitated, and
Yeah.
it definitely sounded in my voice. So I wanted to, my question is to people around me in my community, in my neighborhood, around me is, do you want to be identified with this? Because it reflects on everybody in the community. So what you've been saying a few times is that it reflects on my neighbor, it reflects on my coworkers, or it reflects on the organization I represent.
Mhm.
So my point is, the further we get from the elections, what is the point of having a Trump sign? You can believe whatever you want about um, fake election results and lies or whatever you want. But the further you get from that, the more you're going to be identified not with supporting your candidate, the more you're going to be identified with the violence that happened at the Capitol. And
Yeah.
so I just wanted to let people hear that and reflect upon that and think to themselves, do I want to be identified with this fringe, albeit a minority
Mhm.
of people, but that does leave an impression.
Yeah. But like I said yesterday, we talked about this afterwards, is that people have the right to put up in their yard what they want. The
Yes.
difference is, are they going to own up to what their perception will be given to them? Will they own that?
Yes.
Then
Yes.
the flip side of that is, unless they offend you personally, Darren, like come up to your face or do something to hurt or harm you, you have to let them be. That's their freedom of speech.
Mhm.
Um,
It is.
but then also, what about having community conversation? Um, we again an example of community conversation. We just had a survey yesterday in our community about a um, a slave owner who they're gonna the funds are in place. They have a statue for this man
Hmm.
to be erected in my county. And so I put in a comment that this was really odd for me.
Yeah,
I've never been in
you
a
said that to
position
me yesterday, yeah.
Yeah, I've never been in a position where my opinion mattered and putting in something that might have been oppressive to some people.
Okay.
So I told people, I said, this was very odd for me. This conversation was very odd for me. And people were like, what do you mean this is very odd? This is very odd. And so they asked me to explain myself. So this is what I explained. Because again, how do you affect other people? how do you affect other people? So I told him, I said, this is the first time being in a community where a Confederate figure or any monument that would be associated with white supremacy will be considered for a new install. If that was going to happen in Ohio, I'm sure it would be highly contested. And my phone just died. It would be highly contested, and that people probably, if you supported it, you probably wouldn't be open to say you support it, and it would, because it would be kind of shameful to say that you support something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I went on to give the example that there were people affected. So we come to find out that there was another woman in the community whose ancestors were slaves under this particular guy.
Mm-hmm.
So then we come to
Wow.
find out there was another guy who was descendants of that slave owner that was in the conversation.
Okay.
You know, and you have to, you have a guy who's trying to say, you know, this is my family member who did a lot of good things for the community also.
Okay.
And then you have a family member who says, show me the proof. He owned my people, and I have stories that contradict what you're saying.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So now you have to come to as a community, do you want this statue that will be offensive to other people because of the pain that it caused? So
Yeah.
I gave the example also of, say, a drug dealer. When people think of drug dealers, they automatically associate it with someone black. It's just our society. They'll say this drug dealer who did all his dirt, he lived the life of a drug dealer.
Okay.
Not just a guy that peddles on the street, but somebody who was on the higher end of the industry.
Okay.
He made enough money, and he decided to go rebuild the community that he was from. Build houses, build stores up, businesses, build up that community. And then as he builds that community, people recognize that he did it, and then the city decides we're going to erect a statue honoring this guy.
Okay.
Because of what he did. It's no different than this other guy.
Okay.
Who's a Confederate soldier or a slave owner. When you erect that statue, there's going to be pain on all the families that have had people die from drugs, get killed during the game of the back and forth turf wars, someone who's lost their household, lost their family, a member in prison for the rest of their life, someone who's addicted to drugs and can't get off, a person who might have been pregnant, got on drugs, and the baby died. There's pain that's going to be associated with that erected statue. No different than a statue of a slave owner or a Confederate soldier. There's pain that goes with that. So when you say that you put a Trump sign in your yard now, after everything that's happened, are you going to own the pain that's now associated? Before the 6th, no one can say there was pain, at least worldwide optics of pain associated with Donald Trump.
Yes.
There were things we didn't like, but there was no pain that people could say was really tied to Donald Trump. You can't even tie. You can tie the Charlottesville riots with it.
Maybe a little bit. I think
you could tie all these things, but you can't really tie it exactly because everybody's responsible. But January 6th, you can tie it to him.
Yes.
And are you going to own that as a community? And if you can't own that as a community, that's where a conversation needs to talk about how do we heal from that association.
Yep. This is why I think it would be best, despite the good that that person might have done in the community, it would be best just not to raise it, because with any of these examples, be it a person, be it the Confederate flag, be it a Trump sign, we have all these associated issues with it. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like this woman had all these other issues besides the election that was her grievance. You know, this is what the Trump movement has become. It's become more than the election. There's all these associated things. I would make the argument that you could associate pain with Trump, because you could say that, well, I've had a lot of family members that died of COVID, and he dismissed it, and he didn't take it seriously, and he didn't work to do anything about it, and he was playing golf on the weekends. So you could say that there was pain,
but it won't stand up as much.
That there was pain in regards to, like, if you saw a Trump sign, that you had a visceral reaction of dislike and pain because of that. You could make that argument,
Yeah.
but I know what you're saying with that. But it's like now the movement has become associated with all these other kinds of things. QAnon has become associated with the Democrats are pedophiles and all this other stuff. That where does this come from? So when you put that
Yeah.
Trump sign in your yard, when it's still there, it's about more than the election now.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. And then the things that they're accusing Democrats of, I have to say that I would say that whatever they're accusing them of, you can almost promise you that it's going on in the other party as well. That's why when these accusations come up, I always say it's deeper than politics. To talk about to talk about pedophiles and the sex trafficking with children, this is deeper than politics. When you talk about racism, it's deeper than politics.
Yes.
When you talk about all these things, pharmaceutical companies, all this stuff is deeper than politics. So when you start looking in and people taking ownership of their own actions and being responsible for themselves, that's when you start seeing the change. But when you jump on a bandwagon of isolating a whole group of people, that's where the problems come in because you have no proof. There's no proof of one this or one that. I mean, you can go all the way back to Jerry. You could go back to the Epstein situation. He
Okay.
was seen with people from both parties.
Yep.
So you understand what I'm saying? It's deeper.
Both hands are dirty. So
Right, it's deeper than politics. So when we're talking about the things with the optics of this riot, and there was a big there's this conversation of white supremacy, and I think people look when people think of white supremacy, they don't really look at the violent part of doing something to someone because they're not white. We don't look at the things that pass by us. And I think one of the main things that the argument with the six was that people were talking about racism and they couldn't understand why racism was a topic. It was a topic because we saw the cooperation or the acknowledgement of humanity and how the police didn't respond to the people that stormed the Capitol. There was a compassion. There was I've heard 3 or 4 police officers say how their weapons were taken from them.
Wow.
How I could never reach for an officer's weapon without getting shot, So that's the part that we talk about. And
Ridiculous.
I
Yeah.
had several conversations this week about that type of thing, and it looked like because I bring up a point, I'm being divisive and I'm stirring the pot of racism. Can't understand how I can talk about something about racism and is compared to me stirring the pot and keep it going. That confuses me if I say, this is why we're confused. So I want to bring up a video of someone talking about white supremacy and who
Okay.
is a former white supremacist and how he. I'll just play the video, Bree, and then we'll talk about it after that. We're going
Okay.
over a little bit today, but I thought
No,
it was
that's fine. That's
important.
fine. Go
I thought it
ahead.
was important to play this video. I don't know if I need to play it for her. I'm not sure, but I'll go ahead and I'll get it started for you.
It is hard. And I think for those years where I was living in the wilderness, right, metaphorically, like, what do? I spent a lot of time saying, like, what are my assumptions about the world? What do I think about things? What do I think about people? And how much of that comes from something that I never even really challenged? And figuring out how I make choices and what I speak about and what I do, there's still a part of me that says maybe I can't even trust things I feel convictions for. But I do think that I can say that if I'm driven by what doesn't hurt people, like what makes life better for people, then attacking a white supremacist system that is unfair, that is unjust, and being the person in the room who challenges the latent white nationalism is something that does that. It makes life better for people, including white people.
Right.
And that is a value that I don't think could be wrong. And that was what was missing before. It was the fact that I considered the only people who were important, who I needed to advocate for, was this little group, and realizing that that's wrong. That the little group has to expand and that we're all a part of this. And if something hurts other people, then we have to figure out a way to change the system so that we're all included and then we can all work forward there. And you have to be the voice in the room doing that because it doesn't just happen. The status quo is not going to lead us there. The only thing that undermines a white nationalist who's trying to ramp somebody up to a more extreme version of racism is somebody in the room challenging those beliefs, keeping it from escalating and reminding them that what you're saying is wrong.
Do you think white people would be more effective at that? Do you think there could be more white people who are actively doing that as opposed to, as you said, turning a blind eye and saying like, oh, I don't like that you believe that, but let's still hang out?
It's a white person in the room who has the strongest voice to counteract a racist thought. We were aware of that as white nationalists. We were explicitly aware that if you're talking to somebody and you're trying to get them to go from those Mexicans or maybe the south side of Chicago is a problem and get them to escalate into it's about race. We need to be going. The person who's going to ruin that for you is another white person who's saying, stop that, because it's equal. Like they have literal skin in the game, and what they say shuts any sort of white nationalist racist thing you're saying down, and it stops the room. And that's the thing that people can do. That's the thing that people at college did.
Okay, so I admire this person a lot. I want to read this book because so the background here is that he had a book written about him. He grew up in a white supremacist, white nationalist environment.
His household,
his house,
yeah,
his family, and then realized his mistake, that he was wrong, and then spent years, what it sounded like, spent years isolated. He didn't
yeah,
have no friends. He couldn't
yeah.
go back to his family because
Called it the wilderness.
he was ostracized.
Yeah.
He called it the wilderness, and so he
Yeah.
took years,
Mhm.
years, sort of soul searching. It sounds like, and he says some very powerful things. It's going to take a white person to call it out in the room, and that the status quo is not going to change unless basically, these are my words, being prodded. Okay, so it's what you were saying. It's going to take the majority person who looks like me to say something on behalf of somebody else
Yeah.
of color who's a minority, African American, Asian American, Hispanic American, Native American, whatever, to say something in order for things to change. So
Yeah.
that was a very interesting interview, and that's something that's a huge topic that we should explore more sometime.
And the thing about that was so this was like one of those right on time videos, is because we just experienced that, me and you ourselves, this week with the guy, and we were talking about racism, and you spoke up, and actually you and another person spoke up against racism, and this person is saying that he was trying to say he wasn't thinking that way, but every time you and this other guy countered everything he said, he made it sound like you were the problem. And so that's where the counterbalance happens, because if I go against him, it's like, well, I'm supposed to go against it. But if you go against it, he's probably thinking like, what the heck are you doing? You know? And so that's where we need to see it, because that's where the power control is.
Well,
White America runs everything. They control everything.
I think that that's what we saw this summer, and that's why things have taken a turn. I think there was a turning point. This summer was a turning point because at these rallies, you had white people. I'm just going to say it. You had white people at these rallies. At the rallies that I went to, it was majority white people in white communities
Yeah.
who were talking about George Floyd and
Yeah.
chanting, what was her name?
Yeah.
Breonna Taylor. So I think that, that's going to get people's attention. It's like, well, wait a minute, why are you marching for Black Lives Matter? Well, because, fill in the blank. I lost what I was going to say.
No, that's okay.
I
No,
had something I was going to say right after that, and then I lost it.
yeah, but no, but
This is what I was going to say. So, I mean, a lot of people when they realize they're wrong, they make like they turn on a dime, and then they immediately begin to say the opposite thing or join the other side or whatever it is. this person, the reason why I admire him is he took some years and he actually, to sort of get that, maybe to get it out of his system. He took some years to educate himself, okay, and become informed. So, that's why, I have a tendency to just sort of, um, turn on a dime and just sort of like, say something and not really, and not think about it like he does.
Yeah.
Okay. Because he had a very thoughtful approach to what he's saying. So anyways,
No, I agree. I agree with that. And
that's what I thought was interesting. Like you have like someone who was an addict, and then starts helping and becomes a counselor for substance abuse.
right.
Sometimes it happens like in a couple of months, like all of a sudden the person's changed and they're doing something different. This person took some time and to really know what he's doing, okay, and what
Totally
he's
agree.
saying. So
Totally agree. Man, so that's about it for our show today, man. And of course, we're always continuing our conversation on racial equality and making things better in our country from a racial standpoint. And I just challenge everyone to make a difference in your communities.
yes.
Again, meet people that don't look like you or think like you. Reach out a hand to help someone who doesn't look like you or think like you.
Hmm.
Um, be able to be a better person to help another person be better, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And that's my challenge to everyone out here. And that's why I do the conversations I do have with people. It's all about making people better. If you get offended, I always ask, examine your heart to why you're offended right now.
Hmm. Hmm.
If it's the
Okay.
truth, if we're talking about truth.
Okay.
So, and,
My bottom line would be to say something to somebody if somebody says something that's rude or downright racist or is just wrong. If somebody um, in your circle of friends, if it's something that bothers you, don't just let it go. Don't just say to yourself, "Well, I'm just going to ignore that," you know, and say to yourself, "Well, otherwise they're a good person,"
mhm,
because we've seen how people can go down this road and start to believe lies and to believe really damaging things about other people. And if you don't counter it, then it's going to perpetuate.
right.
You don't counter it, then it's going to. So have the courage to say something to somebody, even if they're a close friend or a family member. Even don't just sort of ignore it. Find ways that you can have difficult conversations that are difficult, if they are difficult, and ask yourself, why are they difficult?
Hmm.
Why is it hard for us to talk about race? Why is it that you want to just sort of like ignore what you heard in the break room at work or whatever it is? So
I think that's the toughest spot is work and school. Those are the two toughest spots to because
yeah.
this is where you hear most of your rhetoric are in the workplace. And you have to decide, do I speak up or do I not? And even as a leader in church, as an employer or a manager or supervisor of some sort, a
Mm,
foreman, sometimes you have to have that tough conversation or be willing to listen to the tough conversation,
yeah.
you know? So man, who you got on the games this weekend?
Ha. I have to switch gears my brain. So, with the Brownies, it should be an interesting game. I think it's going to be a high scoring game, like we said last week. I think that it should be interesting. See, the problem is that our weak point is our defensive secondary. Out of our whole team, our defensive secondary is considered the weakest point or weakest part of our team, and that plays into Kansas City's hands. And coming off a bye week, the stats are not in our favor. But I'm looking for an exciting game. It's exciting just to have the Browns in the
Right.
playoffs. To be honest.
Yeah, man.
Um,
It's gonna be interesting, man. Of course, with the Browns to beat the Chiefs, I think that we can do it. I really do because just like we have to defend against their passing game, they have to defend against our running game.
Yes, that's the big thing. If we can
Yeah.
run the ball, if we can wear down the clock, if we can wear down their defense a little bit and keep the ball away from Mahomes, we
Yeah.
have a chance. We have a chance.
You have a score prediction for us?
I'm predicting high score. I'm going to go with my brain yet again. So I'm going to go Kansas City 42, the Cleveland Browns 35.
35.
Going to be all touchdowns, all touchdowns.
Okay. Well, my prediction is going to be a little different than yours.
You're going to go low scoring game, I know.
It's going to be, a decent amount. I'm going to go something like in the range of 34 to 27 Browns.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, I think that the Browns are going to put them in a place of kicking a few field goals and vice versa. And then on some of the other games for the AFC, you have the Bills against the Baltimore Ravens.
Yep. I like
I'm
the Ravens in that matchup, although I'd like to see the Bills win.
Yeah, I like to see. I'm a big LaMarr Jackson fan because he transcends the game, and it's like no
Good
matter
fighting to
how
watch.
bad, no matter how stuck they are or what the situation is, he could pull them out just by doing what he does.
Yep,
But
he's
I
special.
think the Browns. I don't want to see them play the Browns though, because they can't. They have a hard time with him. I'd rather see them play the Buffalo Bills in the AFC Championship game. But my prediction for the Browns is 34-27.
I
They're
think
gonna
I think
they're gonna win.
to say one more thing about the Browns, I think that the beginning of the game, the first quarter is going to be key. If they can work the clock a little bit and get the running game going and get a lead, that's going to be the difference. If we're going to be playing from behind, then we're going to be that's going to be a problem for us because then we're going to
Yeah,
have to pass the ball a lot,
yeah,
and it's going to be we're not going to win a shootout against Patrick Mahomes. But if we can
totally agree.
if we can get if we can get a lead, then I think your
Yeah.
score is possible. So.
And one of the things I would like to see is the same way they play defense against Pittsburgh, the little bubble type defense to keep
Mhm.
them from being beat deep. I think in the first half that'll work. They can get a lead, but if they have to go to that in the second half with the lead, I think they have to start changing some things up. But the first half, if they can keep them from going deep on them and scoring quickly, like let Kansas City wear some clock out too. Don't let them score quickly on you. And
Okay.
I
Okay.
think it'd be a difference if they could keep them playing from behind. The Browns have a
I think
chance in this game.
I think they're giving the Browns too many points though. Kansas City, the last 8 weeks, I think it's 7 or 8 weeks, has not won by more than a touchdown.
Right.
That's too many points. They're giving Cleveland 10 points. Is it
No,
10 points?
10 points. No
That's a
respect.
lot of points.
That's nothing.
Um,
That's going to fuel them. That's going to fuel that team up because of no respect. We've been playing that way all year. No respect.
what do you think of the NFC?
I'm going for the Saints over the Packers, and I'm going to
I
go
mean,
with.
the Saints are playing the
I'm
Bucks.
sorry. I'm
Buccaneers.
sorry. Saints over the. I'm sorry. I'm going with the Saints over the Bucks. And
Mhm.
I'm going with the Packers over the. Was it the Rams? Going over the
Yep.
Packers over the Rams.
Those.
The reason being, I'm not a big Aaron Rodgers fan, but I feel that he's winding down,
Yes.
in his career, and I feel that he's going to motivate that team to give it a push to go for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I like the Rams, but I don't think the Rams are explosive as they were 2 years ago.
The
Um,
Rams,
you know,
the Rams do have a very, very good defense, so that should be
yeah,
an interesting matchup. I'm
yeah,
not sure what the weather is going to be like in Wisconsin. Here's the thing about the playoffs: the home field advantage isn't as big of a deal now because of no crowd. There's no crowd there.
yeah,
So,
right.
like if you had to go into Lambeau Field and they're screaming at you,
Hmm.
um, and it's cold. If you have to go
Hmm.
into Kansas City, that crowd in Kansas City
Yeah,
historically is wild and nuts. You don't
yeah,
have to deal with that crowd. So these home games are not as much of a big like Buffalo.
yeah.
Like Buffalo,
It's cold, man. I think it's supposed to snow in Buffalo, isn't it?
that's going to be hard. That's going to be hard on the Ravens, maybe, but they should still be able to run the ball. I think in that other matchup, the Buccaneers it's hard for the Saints to beat the Buccaneers for the third time in a row, and the Buccaneers have been playing well. Tom Brady's been playing well, so those are
Yeah. Hmm.
they're going to be very good football games. I
Yeah.
think they're all going to be very good football games.
I think that with me taking the Saints in that game, is I'm looking at the fact that they can put Tom Brady in a position of playing on his heels. Now, you hit Tom Brady enough, you make mistakes.
Hmm.
So I think that the Saints have they have that running game that kind of offsets Drew Brees getting hit so much
Yeah,
versus the Buccaneers.
I like the Saints because I like Drew Brees. I think um He's an honorable person, and I just I'd like to see him go far in the playoffs. I think it's going to be his last year. So
Yeah. Okay, man. I'll catch you on the other side when we get back on the air. Are we gonna do the sports show Monday?
Yep.
Okay.
We'll see you then.
See you on
See you
Monday,
then,
man.
everyone. Thank you for the
See you
support of
later.
the show. Thanks for being here with us. See you again soon.
Yep. Where's it at? Bria both hitting the